All right. We are live. We are live, and I'm coming at you with fives. Welcome again to another edition of Gavin Reshaw Presents here on my channel, GBoot2786, as well as my channel, Gavin Reshaw on YouTube, my self-entitled channel. And also you can check me out on with Periscope on Gavin Rich 2786. And we also have the Facebook page, Gavin Reshaw. Whoever you are, wherever you are, I hope you are blessed and doing safe. We have, of course, Random Topic Thursdays. And once again, we are joined by my friend and author of the books such as The Man Crisis, as well as the John Haynes series, Shawn James. He's actually working on his 2021 catalog as we speak. And Shawn, again, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me.
No problem. Before we get started, we are waiting on the Honorable Judge Joe Brown to come in. Judge is running, I guess, a tad bit late, but he usually comes in. He said he was going to be here for 8, so I'm just waiting to hear from him. I just texted him, and can't wait to get started and talk to him about various things, including what happened at the Capitol last week. I'm sure he has an opinion on that. I also want to ask him about this American Rescue Plan that Joe Biden has proposed when he becomes president. We also have this situation going on, of course, with shutdowns across North America. Our friend and one of your followers, Shawn, brought it to my attention in Canada how they're doing another lockdown. So I want to talk about that. And also, I wanted to, I guess, to get started while we wait on the judge, I did want to talk a little bit about your books that are coming out, your catalog. If you could tell us what you're saying you're working on it.
Well, this year I've got 3 books coming out in the spring catalog. I've got a new John Haynes series book called John Haynes Taking Care of Business, where John Haynes is breaking in a brand new partner as he's trying to figure out which executive at Morris Phillips targeted him for an assassination. That's coming out in March. I have ISIS, Revenge of the Cyber Goddess, the third part of the Cyber Goddess story arc, where the goddess next door takes on the Cyber Goddess as she's in her new evolved form. And I have upcoming eSteam #Cancel Vacation, which is a commentary on social justice warriors and cancel culture and how it affects people. All 3 of those books are going to be coming out this spring, starting in March, with John Haynes Taking Care of Business, and ISIS, Revenge of the Cyber Goddess will be coming out in April. I'm going to be putting them on pre-order next week, and you'll be able to pick up all of those books starting for pre-order on Amazon.com next week.
Wow. So doing a book on cancel culture, I'm sure you could, there is a bunch of books that can come out just on that topic alone, because it's like cancel culture is the number one thing trending right now in society. And we're going to talk about that because, of course, we have the censorship that's going on across social media that plays through, Shawn. And And I'm just curious, have you had an issue, because you're on YouTube, have you had issues with YouTube with your material?
I've had issues with YouTube as related to content, and I've also had issues with some viewers last year. I mean, I remember last year when I made, in 2019, not last year, but 2019, when I made a video refuting the narrative as related to Black men and traveling to pursue relationships with foreign women. I practically wound up losing 50% of my Patreon donations, and I lost hundreds of subscribers, and many people were just so angry over that video. So I have had experiences with cancel culture, and I have had to deal with ever since, again, 12 years old, because I've been dealing with these types of bullies for years. And what they want you to do is agree with them, toe their line. And these people, the big problem with a lot of them is they don't want to hear differing opinions. Basically, they want the internet to become an echo chamber where all they can hear all the time is their opinions, their viewpoints, and they didn't understand what this information superhighway was originally created to be. Now, back in the 1990s, I remember when Al Gore talked about the construction of this information superhighway, it was supposed to be a place where people could hear different opinions, different viewpoints, and different ideas and get a broader perspective on different subject matters. And I remember in the early 2000s, that's what I used to get back when I was on here on the internet. And I would hear different opinions, different viewpoints. And what I would do is if I heard something I didn't agree with, or I was on a website I didn't agree with, I would just quietly click out and respect that person's space and say, okay, that's his opinion. He's entitled to his opinion and his viewpoints. And if I don't agree with him, I can just click out and move on with my day. And the same thing when I used to go to comic book message boards like Wizard World, guys would present differences of opinion. And what people used to do was they would just scroll down and call it a day. They wouldn't sit there thinking that they would have to remove this person off the platform. But it seems like in the last 15 years, people have become extremely fragile, extremely thin skinned. And when they get on the internet, all they want to hear is their opinions and their viewpoints. And what they want to do whenever they hear something that they don't like is run over to these moderators on social media, reporting these individuals for alleged hate speech, and then have those persons removed. And what they do when they do that is they prevent us from hearing from dissenting opinions and dissenting viewpoints. And what they want to do is turn platforms on social media into echo chambers where all they hear is their opinions parroted back at them all the time. And I've seen firsthand, especially with the black sector of YouTube, with the gender wars, how that is damaging people's mental health. And I've also seen it in the comic book community where this is damaging people's mental health because when you all you hear are the same opinions over and over again, it just makes you where you become delusional. And in some cases, it leads to people just becoming, again, very mentally ill because you're hearing the same things over and over again. And there's nobody to give you a counterpoint or to give you some perspective on things so that you can understand that you're not the only one in the world. There are other people in this world. I mean,
Right.
this is one of the problems with cancel culture is that these people they live in bubbles and echo chambers, and they believe it's their right to censor people. And I used to see that type of mentality from junior high school kids when I was 12 years old. And it's sad to see so many older people getting into these Twitter mobs, showing us that they're growing older, but sadly they haven't grown up.
Yes. Most definitely. I've People haven't grown up, and people don't understand that there is such thing as a difference in opinion. I think even General Patton himself stated that if everybody thought alike, then something would be wrong. Something's not working if everyone thought. I'm paraphrasing. If everyone thought the same way, then something is wrong in the armor. So what we have today, though, is this censorship of everything. And I wanted to bring the judge on and talk about it a little bit more because, of course, what's happened in the past week, there have been a bunch of people who have been censored from YouTube from having their live streams pulled. I saw Vicky Dillard's live stream was pulled. Uh, Dwan B, shout out to him. Dwan is a black YouTuber and content creator. He had a live stream with several thousand people actually in the in that stream that was going on, and they got pulled instantly in the middle of the stream. I think not Professor Black, True Jason Black, that happened to him this past week, if I'm not mistaken. So, you would think YouTube, of course, where they will push and promote their agenda, they push and promote, obviously, anything that is radical left, and that's the way it is. I don't even like using terms right or left, but I mean, if you want to use that term because that's what everybody understands, that's the stuff that they are promoting and what they've gotten behind. And I certainly see that with this cancel culture, with this thing that happened, obviously, to Parler, which was the app that was kicked off of Google, kicked off of Amazon, and recently, the head of Parler he actually released that they may shut down the app permanently because they can't find any providers that would keep their streaming service alive. I mean, keep their app alive. So unless you are someone who can manage, obviously, a streaming service, you can have, you know how to access the internet, how to work with newsletters, and you have yourself financed, then you're screwed.
Yeah. That's the sad part about all this canceling of these conservative people. Now, I may not agree with those people, but under our Constitution, they're entitled to free speech. And you would think that these corporations would try to honor the free speech, because if we don't have their counterpoints, then we're not really hearing the whole, allowing Americans to come to their own observations and conclusions about things. So when I look at what they're doing, it's really troubling, because we're going to have an internet like these platforms like Twitter, YouTube, and Facebook, where they're trying to make it all one viewpoint. And again, that really runs contradictory to what these platforms were originally established. If you look at YouTube, it was originally supposed to be about broadcasting yourself. And if you look at Facebook, it was supposed to be about people being able to have interactions with other people. So these companies are running contradictory to themselves. And as they censor people and cancel people, what they're actually doing is alienating most of their users. Now, I've seen this same pattern play out 10 years ago with Yahoo, with AOL, with MySpace, and even in 2019 with Tumblr, where these tech executives get full of themselves and they start wanting to dictate and be tech gods over these platforms and trying to control content, not understanding what drives a service based business like a Twitter or a Facebook is users. And if users don't feel secure in using the platform, what users do is stop using the platform. And that creates a domino effect that eventually hurts their business, because if users stop using the platform, then you don't have a forum for advertisers to want to invest in. So the advertisers no longer want to use this platform because there are no users there to sell products to. And that creates a domino effect that affects things like the stock price, and also affects their profitability. Because once people stop using the platform and you start losing foot traffic, that's when the website itself practically collapses. And that's when the company falls completely apart. Because what makes an internet company wealthy and an asset is the fact that you have users who feel comfortable about using the platform. And when you have a polarized group of people, they don't, one group doesn't feel comfortable about using the platform, and the other doesn't feel comfortable about using the platform. And what happens is the foot traffic dies, the website dies, and then these guys are sitting here thinking, oh, we were tech gods at 1 minute, we were kicking people off the platform, not understanding your business is primarily based on users using your service, because you're not manufacturing anything tangible. And people, if they're not using your website, you're practically going to go out of business. Now, they're trying to sabotage your parlor, as I see it, and that's an antitrust issue that
It
really
is,
needs
and
to
that's
be
the main
taken
thing.
to court.
Right. And Shawn, let me interrupt you with regards to that. That is something else that's happening with Facebook, and I think, and possibly maybe even with Twitter, because they are censoring and removing a lot of people, and such as creating there's antitrust legislation and antitrust bills that are passed that tech companies are supposed to follow. Remember this in 2019, I believe, when Trump actually got sued by members of the press and media because he censured several people that were tweeting at him, and he blocked them, and they went to and sued in federal court. They sued him as a result of it. But the judge even said, you know, you all may be a private company on Twitter, but Twitter is also a public domain, or it's a public platform. So while freedom of speech necessarily doesn't apply, what it only applies to states and governments with regards to your Bill of Rights, there are still antitrust issues and antitrust laws that those companies are supposed to follow.
Yeah.
Facebook is actually being sued. I showed this on my platform last time. They're actually being sued in 46 different states, including Guam and Puerto Rico, which are United States territories. So, and in the District of Columbia. So you're seeing big tech companies becoming too powerful, and essentially they're causing a problem. And I see this is actual stock from Twitter that you guys see. Twitter has actually lost over $3 billion. And right now, I see in our chat our guest of honor, ladies and gentlemen, please welcome the Honorable Judge Joe Brown.
Judge is in the house, young man.
Glad
All
to have
right,
you here.
all
Can't
right,
hear me?
Judge, we can
Oh,
hear
okay.
you.
Hold
Judge, you know,
on.
Okay,
Let's
there
see.
he
You
is.
can't hear me or you can hear me?
I can hear you.
We can hear you.
Okay,
You're
we hooked
good.
up good?
Yes,
Okay, I'm looking at this chart. You talking about
that's
the 38 billion that Twitter is lost?
yes,
Or are you
sir.
talking
That
about
is
something?
Twitter's.
Yeah, I
Well, we
hope
were
they go
talking.
broke. The son of a bitches need to be wiped out. They are Nazi like fascist. And if you don't
Judge,
agree with their particular brand of social politics, they cut you. See, they're a monopoly. They're deep into antitrust. And as a lawyer, I'm sure you looked at what the joint statement this crew came up with explaining why they were doing what they're doing and getting rid of Parlor. But that sounded straight up and down on all fours with the sanction against antitrust conglomerates and monopolies causing a restraint of trade. So there, if Parler planned it, is brilliant. They'll get a whole lot of funding. Maybe they can bankrupt Twitter here.
right, and most people, Judge. First off, Judge, I'm sure you're familiar with Shawn because Shawn has been on your show before with Valerie.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I just didn't know if you. I just wanted you to meet him again. And shout out to everyone in the chat. Computer Robot says hello, Judge Joe Brown. I love your show back in the day. Uh,
Well,
Rosalind
I
said,
ain't dead yet. I'm still doing. That was 8 years ago. They did the last one of those, but I'm still breathing, still trying to pontificate, talk shit, and get people a little wiser.
that's most definitely. So, what I want to ask you, Judge, because it's perfect that you on, is that the Twitter CEO he defended the Trump ban. And what a lot of people don't understand about this, because I had stated on my Facebook post how we should be careful because when censorship is first, then the next is fascism. A lot of
It
people
is
say, well,
fascist right now. It's not the next step. It is operative fascism at this point. That's what we need to be aware of. This is outright fascism.
mhm, it's outright fascism. But why? But for those that think, well, Twitter is not a public platform; it doesn't cover freedom of speech. How would you respond?
Crap. It's just like antitrust for a thing dealing with communications and people communications. You have only to look at Bell Telephone. Everybody on here is too young to remember it, but I was grown. And every phone company in America was Bell Telephone. They had affiliates, Bell South, Pacific Bell, etc. It was Bell Telephone. They broke up Bell Telephone. The residual of Bell Telephone is AT&T because it stifled
Right.
competition. So they just all of the rest of it just became mute once they blocked Parler as a concerted effort. That becomes a cabal, a conspiracy, a collective effort to suppress competition. So that knocks them right out of the box. There are a limited number of airwaves or frequencies just because of the way of the universe. Some of them are reserved for military purposes, some air traffic control, some of them for emergency services, some of them for licensed civilian operators of radio, some for commercial stations. But when you deal with that, those limited airways have to be regulated for the good of the people. And if you monopolize those airways for a service that is dealing with communications, you chill the exercise of the First Amendment. By the way, that's precisely the same logic that the federal court used to say Trump could not block people who wanted
Right.
to come on his site, badmouth them, uh, because they were exercising their First Amendment right. What's good for the
I just
goose
said
is
that.
good for the gander.
Right. I had
Yeah.
just said that point too. Shawn, you had something to add. I just want to let everybody before you talk, Shawn.
Well, I
This
don't
is
have anything to add just yet. I'm listening.
okay. This is obviously the AP article. Right when app Parler is booted off internet over ties to siege. This was the article and the headline from the AP. And what you saw earlier, that was Jack Dorsey. This is the CEO of Twitter who defended the Trump ban. Uh, I've also found it interesting though on Twitter, and I was going back and forth with a colleague of mine that Twitter actually, if you go on there, and Shawn, you know this too, they have pornography.
Yeah,
Uh,
I've seen hardcore pornography on there, and I've seen porn stars promoting themselves on there, and it's quite troubling that a porn star can go on there and participate in a variety of sexual acts, and you can't really express your own opinions on there. That's the troubling thing on there. I
right.
mean, when I look at
I've been
again,
suspended on
how
Twitter.
does that help with free speech? I mean, you can put adult content on there and it's no problem, but then you want to block people and kick people off the platform. And again, when I look at their platform, this is a huge boneheaded mistake that's going to drive them out of business, like previous companies I've seen before, like Yahoo and AOL and your Tumblr. Tumblr did this back in 2019 and practically destroyed their entire platform. They talked about they were going to censor so-called adult content, and 90% of the website dropped within 3 months because users just walked away. And when you kick people off the platform, again, this is a service-based business, and
Right.
you're as a service-based business, you need the users to be able to continue to build momentum for your business and keep its value up. So I look at Twitter and I look at these guys with caught up in their own identity politics, and they don't understand how, one, they're violating people's First Amendment rights, and two, violating antitrust, and then three, just doing bad business. Because when you're in the business of being a social media company, if the user cannot use the product, then the user is going to just walk away from the platform altogether. And then with you trying to collude to keep people from going to competitors, which is again antitrust violation, it's just going to lead to you eventually winding up going out of business anyway, because the internet is a fluid thing. And as I've seen, there are other platforms that they may have shut down Parler, but there's still Gab, there's still Minds, there's a whole host of social media platforms like MeWe. And if they start going after those platforms, then people really will have evidence of antitrust violations. And like the judge said, if we could break up Bell Telephone, then we can definitely break up big tech. Because I remember when Bell Telephone, reading about Bell Telephone being broken up into all the companies like Bell Atlantic and Bell South.
Bell
And
South is down here. Yeah.
yeah, and
Yeah, well, it's no longer even that. It's been broken
yeah,
up further because they held that, in effect, was just a dodge around the fact
yeah,
that uh, Bell Telephone was a monopoly. So you have AT&T as a residuum, but somebody just said AT&T is a monopoly. It's not. If you wanted to see what a monopoly was like, be anywhere in the United States of America and go to any telephone booth, and it was a Bell telephone operation, and you put your dime or quarter in there. And then when they broke them up, it wasn't too cool. This was before cell phones, and some companies would require that you put $2 worth of quarters in there, and you're supposed to get a refund, which you never did for the unused services. And who's carrying $2 worth of quarters around in their pocket? So I mean, it's got its ups and downs, but yeah, you're exactly right. And the deal is that that was a monopoly, and there are very few examples of that right now. And what happened is I'm looking at how dumb were the legal departments for these entities, mega corporations,
Yeah.
and they actually confessed to all of the antitrust no-nos. So it's like done deal. And see, the problem with Parler was when Google and Apple and Amazon
Yeah.
ended them, Parler was the fastest moving free app of all time. And see, it was catching up with Instagram in terms of people, and it was about to beat it. So that is classic restraint of trade. And somebody said, uh, I can see on this text thing, somebody saying they criticized this person and that person and they got cut off on Twitter. Yeah, see, that's what's going on. That is censorship.
Right.
And that is no. When I, my whole, as long as I've been on this planet, the only thing I have ever seen other than wartime censorship for national security is censoring porn and obscenity. That's been clearly defined by the Supreme Court.
Yeah.
Now you can do it anywhere, everywhere, even teach it to children, but they're censoring political and social commentary like they've never done before. Although you can get full frontal three and a hole porn on Twitter.
Yeah, I mean, I got censored on Twitter. I've talked about this before. I was flat out suspended and had to remove my tweets because I was going back and forth with a suspected white supremacist. I was just playing the dozens with him, and they said my comments created abusive language and so forth, whatever BS it was. And I made a decision. Eventually I was going to go over to Parler. I actually downloaded the app, and now they've taken that off and made it even more difficult. So everybody should be paying attention because a lot of people think it's a good thing to celebrate this because of what happened to Donald Trump, but it's bigger than Donald Trump, and I think people don't get that.
Well, you know what it is? It's not Donald Trump. Donald Trump really is camouflage that has been put in place by mainstream media for something else. What is going on here is normals versus queer. That's what it is. They call us pejoratively, oh my God, he's a breeder. He doesn't count. Oh, they're just so weird. What the hell is wrong with you? And norms, they're norms. Oh, they're just disgusting. What in the hell? How you think you got here, fool? See, so queer is what LGBTQ calls itself. That's the Q. It also stands for questioning. And BLM calls itself in there what we believe, third from the bottom, we are a queer affirming network. And by
Right.
the way, speaking of stuff, still on the BLM site. Nobody seems to get it in mainstream media. Be advised that we organize and arrange communications and logistics for demonstrations and protests. What the hell do you think's been going on in DC? I remember back in the 60s when we had what we call
I'll get to
agents provocateur. Hey man, let's throw some bricks through this. Wait a minute, man. I know you. When they had me down there talking to me, LAPD, you was sitting up in there. You a detective. Why you out here trying to get folk throwing bricks through these windows?
right, and especially if you on the Capitol, Judge. I saw the video, and we showed it last week. The police officers were actually opening up the gates for the people to come up to the hill. And on top of that, if you've been to, I know you've been to DC, to the rotunda in Congress before. It's always tight. They don't just let anybody go in there, and then you see the lack of police. I'm sure you saw the video of the black. What was up with the black police officer that was leading the group of that entire group away from him, from the
I
Senate?
don't know. But let me tell you what the bottom line is.
Yeah,
This shit ain't over. See, America has 100-year and 50-year riot cycles. 50 years ago, it was cupcake, long haired, peacenik, flower power hippies protesting the war and some black folk burning shit down. 50 years before that, 1919, 1920, 1921, white folk came in at Woodrow Wilson's behest or invitation practically. He was a Southern racist Democrat from Virginia, and they lynched about going on 500 black people. And they wounded, injured maybe 7,000 to 8,000 more. Black folk were on top of roofs with guns smuggled in from Baltimore by the Pullman car porters, and they were having shootouts. They had to bring in an infantry unit and a cavalry unit to put everything down. Famously, you see all the woke black folk talking about they burnt
In
down,
DC?
white supremacists burnt down Black Wall Street, 1921. Yeah, you don't get it. It's 100 years later. That's that cycle. It's 1921, and your dumb ass is running around. Black folk took him down. We responsible. We got rid of Trump. Okay.
Says YouTube is
He's
blocking my
blocking
chat.
your chat. Ain't that a bitch? See what I'm talking about? Goddamn fascist motherfuckers, you pieces of shit. Some one of these real folk gonna put something up your ass that gonna give you some rough trade you ain't gonna like, motherfuckers. Now, see, that pisses me off. This is some Nazi shit. And the other goddamn thing is when you get the chance, go investigate the burning of the Reichstag back in the 30s in Germany. Reichstag. That's the German parliament building. The damn Nazis did it, blamed the communists, and quickly put into effect all of this censorship and bullshit so they could control everything. This time, we don't need any Nazis to take control of the press because the damn Nazis are the press. And they're taking control of everything else. There is some kumbaya Nazis who think with good conscience that it's up to them to impose this fascist shit on us for our own damn good. They don't even think they're doing wrong. Not just for a cause. They think. And we sit here and put up with it. Yeah. What they don't realize is this shit is inciting folk to get mad. I'm 70-some years old. I'm getting mad enough to take to the streets. See, they're going to get what they ask for, but it ain't going to be like what they want because some of these police they are talking about saying, you the motherfuckers out there talking this BLM shit and down in the police department, defunding the police department. Fuck, you do it yourself. And see, we had these BLM demonstrations. 47 people got killed. Billions of dollars worth of black property got burnt down from motherfuckers who weren't black, who were supposed to be protesting somebody black getting killed. This is not black people out there. You look at this shit and you got 11 people out there, 9 of them are white cupcakes with a few sprinkles of chocolate, a few chocolate sprinkles and a little fudge frosting. So hell, what's going on?
Right.
It ain't got a damn thing to do with black folk. These folk, these cupcake, vanilla cupcakes, they're having an ecology rally to save the polar bears, the mama elephants, the lions and the tigers and the wolves and every other thing, the whales. This time the animal are some African bipeds that got set free 155 years ago and are acting as an invasive species, but we got to protect them. They don't give a shit about you other than you being a damn animal that they're trying to protect, being PC trendy. That's what we got. And these white folk are going to say, hell with this shit. The real white folk. And y'all these crazy little over-mommied white boys that are shooting up these hallways, they're going to get the idea that maybe they can play kamikaze on something else besides little children, some more heroic figures, like this dude did up in Nashville when he blew himself up outside of an AT&T building. See, they don't know what they're doing because they're too myopically stupid and focused on some bullshit about who gets to bust who in the ass, who pitches, who catches, and all this other kind of crap. And that's their focus. There are some real world problems. And that's their right to do it. But people have to do better about maintaining industry here. They've got to deal with some other things about the educational gap. They've got to do something about fundamental fairness and reforming this prison industry. that is not out there trying to even deal with crime. It's trying to deal with controlling surplus goddamn labor, because they have bought so deep into this free enterprise bullshit that there's the only industrial country that does not deal with all of these people being made obsolete by industrial technology and computerization. And they got AI, and that's going to screw up a whole lot of black college grads. And then this come Queen Humping Harris, bitch, she's in there talking about bringing in 1 million or so educated Indians from her homeland. And guess who's going to get knocked out? All of these black folk just got out of college. And then both of them are talking about legalizing 11 million refugee Mexicans who escaped over in here. Who do you think's gonna lose the damn job?
Us.
And these, we so glad we beat Trump. And then that crying Negro sissified asshole Van Jones on CNN. Oh, I'm so glad we beat Trump. Oh my God. Crying Negro Network, you punk. Damn embarrassment. Jackass, sellout, charlatan. And who screwed you in your butt all up in CNN for you to get your job, you pathetic creep?
And there are pictures of him hanging out with Trump's kids at the White House.
Yeah, it was trendy.
Yeah. Right. And
I went to New York one time back in the 90s on a conference. We took us to a club. There's Trump walking in, no security, just hanging out, sitting at the table with some brothers. I bet you that Biden motherfucker wouldn't bring his ass down there at any goddamn time. His same son of a bitch that 50 years ago was talking about Negro children are roaches. And if you don't keep them segregated, they'll infest schools and you'll never get them out.
Gordon Freeman.
Oh, we so happy we got masks in. Always got masks. Oh, we got masks. No, they don't know it. Get a goddamn chance. You've been looking at motherfuckers for 50 goddamn years doing the same thing. You think they gonna change? Hell no. Both of them made a living on putting us in our place. And what's going to happen is in a few months, you're going to get a situation where that ass is going to run up against the reality that they put in place. He's going to resign. He's going to get his ass pardoned. His son's going to get pardoned. Come Queen Harris is going to be the president. And under the action of the 20th Amendment, Nancy Punk Pelosi is going to be vice president. And both of them from San Francisco. Now, it's their business. But I have grandchildren, and I got some other interests besides watching a gay pride parade getting promoted in life, in politics, in sociality, and in economics. That's bullshit. Right. And that Equality Act is poison. Juicy Jesse set up that fake thing with his assault in Chicago, that noose around his neck. Chicago police has his ass on tape in a security camera in Chicago the week of Halloween, buying that noose from a costume shop. And then not a day or two afterwards, here comes Queen Harris and houseboy Booker, and they're relabeling the Equality Act as the anti-lynch bill. It doesn't say a damn thing about black folk, says nothing about lynching. One of the worst things it does is make pedophilia a protected class. And in the event of conviction for acting out, they're supposed to get all kinds of slack for that. That's sick.
Well, main issue I have with that bill too, with the Equality Act, because I was actually talking about with my brothers that there's also no first under the Bill Clinton had signed in 1993 the Religious Freedom Act of 1993. That was supposed, and they're stating that under that bill, that would not provide in terms of the Equality Act. So I could imagine some religious institutions being sued already. I know that some adoption agencies, when gay marriage was legalized, the Catholic adoption agencies, they were forced to close. For instance, in Louisiana, they didn't get, a First Amendment protection. Shawn, what do you make of this?
Make of what? I was so busy listening.
Okay, yeah. Well, when Judge talking, everybody's listening. Just on what the judge was saying about the Equality Act, I don't know if you're familiar with it.
Well, I don't really think that there's a real equality act here because when it comes down to laws like this, they're not really talking about equality for black people. And they talk about this whole thing about equality, but it's about the alphabet community and everybody else and promoting their agendas. And there's nothing there about black people whose civil rights continuously are violated at every turn. So when I hear people talking about these kind of laws like this, I know that they're just a bunch of garbage and it's just about pushing these agendas of the alphabet community and promoting deviancy and debauchery and trying to make it socially normal. And that's really what this is all about because if this was about trying to get black people equal rights, I guarantee you this same piece of legislation would go nowhere.
No, it wouldn't. And I think you're absolutely right. We're in a position right now where we are being pushed. If you remember that famous line between dialogue between Morgan Freeman and Robert Guillaume and Lean on Me, where the late great Joe Clark was telling his superior, Dr. Napier, played by Robert Guillaume, that we are being pushed into a permanent underclass. And that is something that I'm seeing with bills like this. The black community is being pushed into a permanent underclass. Combining that with the platform of Joe Biden's, and Kamala Harris's plan for immigrants and for whether it's Indian immigrants or even the illegal immigrants in particular. 11 million immigrants are going to get amnesty and get all of these rights.
Yeah, but what I find to be troubling about importing all these immigrants is we're not taking care of our own, and the reason why
Right.
we have that whole insurrection in Washington and those people storming the Capitol building is because a lot of Americans are frustrated. They believe they're not being able to get their rights as citizens. They're not getting that right to a life, liberty, and pursuit of happiness. They're not getting a right to jobs. They're not getting a right to make a living. And our government's priorities are completely backwards. We want to try to help people outside of the country when half the country is unemployed and the citizens here, they're suffering. But you want to talk about helping people who are outside the country and give them jobs, which is completely retarded as I see it, because how do you expect to have a functioning country when you take the American people and you don't put them first? I mean, the American people are the ones who are paying taxes. They're the people who have helped build the country, especially Black Americans. We've helped build the country, and you want to go out here and get some imported labor because some executive wants to save 10 cents on a dollar. And what he doesn't even see is the big picture, which is something I've told people about is you can import this labor, but this labor is not investing in your country. Now, an American worker, they may cost a little more in the short term, but they invest more in the long term. And when you have an American worker, yes, they cost some money as related to salary and wages, but they contribute to a company with innovation, one, and they also contribute by creating new jobs and new businesses when people work there for a while and then develop their skills and move on. So you're keeping wealth inside of the country. But when you invest in foreigners, what happens is you're paying them cheap, but they're taking money outside of the country, one, and two, they're getting skills and then building businesses outside of the country. So there's no revenue coming back to the country and nobody creating new jobs and new businesses. So you're imploding your own economy and you don't even know what you're doing because you're so short-sighted. You're just thinking, oh, I'm helping out the immigrants, but you're not helping America. And
Right.
again, this is why Americans are so angry and they wanted to storm the Capitol building because the government practically abandoned the people for 3 months. And you have all these people who are out of work. There's some of the people lost their unemployment for months on end. And people were about to lose their homes in foreclosure or they're about to be evicted. And you have a new president who, instead of thinking about taking care of the American people, he decides to start talking about immigrants. And we don't really need immigrants. We need to invest in Americans who are graduating college with 50, 60, 70,000, even $200,000 in debt and can't get a job. at any place but a Starbucks. We need to invest in our own people. And that's something we're not doing. And our politicians are sitting there talking about the poor immigrants. But no, what about the poor Americans? This is what gave
Right.
Trump a platform, is we didn't care about the American people. And again, these politicians take the American people for granted. And sadly, it seems like they haven't learned a single thing from 2016, and they still haven't learned anything. They're just completely disconnected from the American people. And they just aren't living in the same reality as the average American. They want to talk about, oh, these guys are, they try to label them as the bad guy, but they can't see the evil that they have done, because you have to put your own people first if you want to have a functioning country and you want to have a functioning society. I mean, if you don't take care of your people, they get frustrated and angry, and eventually that's why you see all this unrest, because people see a government that they vote for that doesn't serve them, and that's why they don't want anything. That's why they're just so angry and want to go after these guys, because they vote for them and then they don't do anything for them.
Right.
Let me
Before we
ask
get
you a question. Let me ask you a question. Anybody remember what that briefing is when you get on an airplane in the event of depressurization? Put your own oxygen mask on first so you can help somebody else, so you don't pass out and nobody gets helped. They're
right,
giving away our oxygen right up front. What about in that COVID-19 relief bill?
and that's what I want to.
25 big ones go to Pakistan, 10 of which are for tranny accommodation and
Right.
education. What the hell is
40
that
million
for?
to go to the Smithsonian, and the Smithsonian is closed right now.
Wait a minute. Did you see how many billions go to these entities? Walt Disney,
Libya.
Paramount, Universal Studios, Paramount, CBS, ABC, NBC, Fox, and CNN. Why the hell are they getting COVID-19 money?
I think Netflix got, there was a bill for Netflix and Disney about
Yeah.
streaming
Yeah.
Streaming
services.
So
rights for it.
why do we get tied up
Right.
for the people getting a little
And
measly
those are
fifteen
billionaires.
hundred dollars, and these folk are getting 15 million, 1.5 billion? What the hell is going on here?
Right. Right. And let me
And
just
then
say
the
that.
other thing too, let me say this. Do you know what media is suppressing? There was an interesting event today. Trump's administration sent a letter to Congress. You know what it says? Pursuant to the Homeland Security Act, clause so and so, such and such, he, as president of the United States, has evoked the emergency powers, which means that Americans who were knocked down by an emergency, a national emergency known as the COVID-19 whatever epidemic, are entitled to XXXX emergency relief, the expense to be covered totally by the U.S. government, which means since Congress passes it, they have to come up with the money. So he just cut through all that bullshit red tape, where most of the money is not going to the people, us getting the checks, they're going to the special big interest.
Right. So he's cutting all of that out.
Yeah, but they're not carrying it. They're not
Right.
letting it come
What?
out because there's a blackout. And by the way, the whole purpose for having the First Amendment, as it benefits the press, is it's supposed to keep the public informed, not propagandize. So there's a good argument that government should step in and suppress the press until they get objective and fair about their coverage.
Most definitely. I want to ask you this while we're on that note, just two things, because I have Biden's American Rescue Plan. That was his plan that he announced, where he originally he talked about $2,000 stimulus checks, but he changed it to 1,400. I wanted to talk about that, but while we're on the issue of Trump, Judge, let me ask you about this impeachment thing, this second impeachment thing that's going on. That's costing the
Okay.
American people more money, isn't it?
Okay, yeah, it's a cartoon show because first off, being impeached is like being indicted. They are exactly synonymous. You are indicted, you're still presumed innocent until proven guilty, and you are not guilty of a damn thing until you've been convicted. Well, they've returned the second round of articles of impeachment on Trump, but it goes to trial in front of the Senate, and by Constitution, two-thirds of the senators have to go for it. That ain't gonna happen. So it's just a charade. But
Right.
what they're
McConnell's
trying to
already
do,
announced that. Yeah.
yeah, but see, they're what they're trying to do is also under the Constitution. If you're convicted and impeached and convicted, you never can hold office again. And right now, it looks like Donald Trump is the preferred candidate for 2024 by the Republican Party. He can run again. So it's possibly interesting. Also, this speculation, he was trying to get control of the news media before he decided to run for office. So who knows? Be careful what you ask for. You just might get it. They might get rid of him politically, but wind up with him in control. You know, CNN is being put up by AT&T as an almost bankrupt entity, and they're
Right.
trying to sell Fox off, but nobody wants to buy it. So, you know, who knows? We might have somebody who is very dead set against fake news in charge of the news industry. That would be fascinating.
Right,
We had
Judge.
a
And
mayor
see,
in Memphis, Dr. W. Harrington. He was superintendent of schools. They set him up with a bogus charge of sexual harassment that went nowhere, but the county commission used it as an excuse to remove him. But 9 months later, he became the first elected black mayor of Memphis. And he served 5 terms. And he's the only mayor of a major city that got the police department under control.
yeah.
Be careful what the hell you ask for. You might get it.
And CNN actually, they announced that CNN Airport Network is actually closing down in March. So what you're saying about them losing money is true. Jeff Zucker is the president of CNN, and actually, a very interesting story. He has, from listening to um, Bill Cosby's press spokesperson, Andrew Wyatt. He and Jeff Zucker don't get along, and Jeff Zucker supposedly told Bill Cosby, "As long as I'm around, I'll never forgive him, or nothing. I'll do nothing good for that man."
Well, you know,
Yeah,
Twitter's down $38 billion and the debt is sinking more. Maybe they'll go broke. I hope they do. But then we got to get rid of Facebook and Instagram because they're even less tolerant to free and open debate. Look how we refer to the queer folk. See, we dance around it because they have censored everything, so you can't talk about them, even though they call themselves queer.
yeah. Something I
See,
want to, yeah, but yeah. Well, that's very much true. I mean, they have a book that anyone can read if they have $250. Was a book called After the Bowl that you can find on Amazon, and it was actually written by two gay men who were experts in advertising from Harvard University in the '80s, and essentially they laid out the plan of how to make uh, homosexuality or make LGBTQ, wasn't called that back then, acceptable and put in pop culture. And one of the ways they did that was in the media, you had to show themselves as the victim. Uh, we look at the TV shows that they had originally. When I remember growing up, I saw if there was a gay character, they were comical in a sense, typically. Where like the character on Mannequin, Hollywood. Shawn, you remember that movie?
Yeah, I remember that movie Mannequin. It came out in the
yeah,
80s.
but you know
86.
what? That was 20 years after, 25 years after the fact. I heard them plotting that on UCLA's campus, Stanford's campus, Berkeley's campus, Howard University's campus. They were plotting that same layout back in the 60s. See,
Right.
that's what they were doing. So, whatever, something just flashed up on my screen. Uh, New York Attorney General is suing, get this, New York Police Department for excessive force used against BLM protesters.
I've seen that.
Yeah, so, you know,
Right.
it's interesting that the little cupcakes are tolerated and the police stand by while they burn down precincts and do nothing, but they're talking about for some reason why weren't they doing something in the Capitol? Now, 38 other states had mega folk invading them to peacefully protest. But strangely enough, the one attended by so many known Antifa members in D.C. is the one that breaks down into disorder and violence.
Mm.
That sounds like agent provocateur to me, man. Why you wanted to ask us to throw these bricks, man? You a cop. No, I'm not. Yes, you are. I saw you down at the precinct, man. You were down there, blah, 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 when they had all of us down there trying to question us.
Judge, I want to ask you while I got you on here, and Shawn, while I got you on here, this is Biden's American Rescue Plan uh, that says President-elect Joe Biden is expected to lay out his 1.9 trillion relief package at a primetime address on Thursday that will focus on a new round of stimulus checks to struggling Americans and an ambitious vaccine distribution plan to control the deadly pandemic. A chunk of the funds, 416 billion, will help launch a national vaccination program with a goal of vaccinating 50 million Americans and reopening schools in the first 100 days. I've also heard
Trump
just
just took care of that on an executive order, evoking the Homeland Security Act for a national emergency.
yeah, and
See, it's bullshit. Meanwhile, most of what I've read in the proposal looks like he's carrying out his promise that the first 100 days will see a legislative priority to gay matters.
yeah, I saw Nancy Pelosi. This is something different, but we talked about this last week where she removed the terms. They passed a bill in Congress to remove gender terms such as mother, father, sister, brother, council person, congresswoman, congressman. They're removing those terms, I believe. And, most people don't see the agenda that they keep pushing over and over again.
You know what?
Uh,
Somebody said that, and I was speaking around here. Um, what are you going to do if judges are going to? I'm going to say, fuck you. I got my First Amendment rights. If I want to call it a he, she, it, that's what I want to do. And you bastards can't make that unlawful.
yeah.
So
Shawn,
what are
what
you
you
going
think?
to do?
Well,
Control everybody's thought
that that
process so
that
you tell
agenda
them
is
how to
really
speak? God damn, that's censorship of the most fundamental character, where you dictate on a government level what pronouns can be used.
Yeah, Shawn.
I believe that that needs to be challenged in court, what they're doing right there, because again, that's a violation of people's First Amendment rights. I mean, a person has a right to, according to them, that they're supposed to be able to use their pronouns, but we can't use the pronouns the way we
Ours.
want. I mean,
It's
that's
also a 14th Amendment issue too, because it's equal protection for everyone. That applies to straight people as well.
yeah. So this is a violation of people's rights. I mean, people have to really push against these far leftists and their crazy agendas because this kind of stuff it leads to a slippery slope. These people say that they want to have more inclusive things, but we can really see the fascism behind the things that they're doing. What they want to do is stand on here and talk about how they want to be included, but the great irony is they wind up censoring people who want to want to have their gender things, and what happens is we wind up with a whole bunch of real confusion. That's what I really see with this. It just makes a lot of confusion. That's why I see it's like really satanic in some ways, because that's what the devil wants to do, is have you confused, have you thinking up is down, left is right, and have you on a real crazy road. Because this what I'm seeing is these people with all this gender stuff, it really is a satanic agenda, and it's all about confusing people and messing with their minds. And again, we really need to have some pushback, because again, we have legal precedent, because under the law, again, First Amendment says we have a right to free speech and equal protections under the law. And
14th Amendment.
yeah, 14th Amendment. So if we have these rights, we need to go out here and fight to protect
And
those
one other
rights.
thing, can't we have any say, the majority of us, on what our children get taught in schools? You can't teach them about sex. So how the hell do you get to teach them about homosexuality?
Because don't they get around it though? Like for instance, in Illinois, the gay history, they're not teaching it as a sex class. They're saying it's history.
Yeah, but the thing is teacher homosexual? Yes, we have to talk. What sexual teacher? See, that's, you can't get around it.
Right.
So if you can't teach kids sex, how can you teach them about deviant sex?
Right. I remember when they wanted to teach us sex ed.
They
Uh,
they raised all kinds of hell, didn't they?
well, yeah, yeah. I was in parochial school and Catholic school, and they still had to talk to my parents about it first.
Ah, yeah. But they don't have to tell you they got you can't talk about dick and pussy sex, but you can talk about dick and ass sex and mouth the pussy sex with a pussy backing it up. See, I'm talking like this deliberately because people have gotten afraid to speak. Now you can have full frontal on pornography. Take an amateur porn queen, make her a celebrity and a political spokesman, but you can't talk about this even though they show it graphically anywhere you want to get it on Twitter.
Yeah.
You can talk about, you can show two dicks and an ass or pussy eating pussy, but you can't say it, but you can look at it. What the hell's going wrong?
As Terrence Connor says, shout out to you. Shout out to Purple. Purple, of course, judges my St. Aug class here in New Orleans. He says that it's a race to communism, gut out the middle class and rich class. They use us as legislative blackface. Uh, by the way, Garrett Gregory, shout out to him. Shout out to everyone watching. We're at 50 people watching. That's probably the highest that I've had, even with this censorship going on with YouTube and Facebook. By the way, shout out to you, Dolly and Donald Julian. By the way, Judge Kamel Barrett, that's Computer Robot. Shout out to y'all. Uh, by the way, oh, Bishop is in the house too, Judge. Bishop and LA, she's here. Uh, Shout out to them. Bishop Scott said when I was going to school, 50s and 60s, sex was a taboo topic, not only in school but on TV, radio, etc. Yeah, well, I'm pretty sure it was.
But
Uh,
anybody could talk about anything about politics, anything. Kick
yes,
them niggers out of them schools. We need segregation. We need to have love and we need to legalize marijuana. But you can't say shit now. Oh,
yeah,
you can talk about us. You can talk about everything else. Oh, these goddamn norms. It is disgusting. Oh, they're breeders. Oh my God. You can do that, but you say, you faggot motherfucker, fuck you. You take that shit somewhere else. Then they want to get all upset. What's the point?
yeah. I want
Oh,
everyone.
everybody, you saw how everybody froze up. Everybody, oh shit, he said those words. See where we've gone with this? We are Americans. Remember, pig, avaricious pig motherfucker, goddamn cracker, this, that, and the other, blah, 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 blah. They call us the N words. Now we have step around all those words, refer to them. What the hell happened? Did we become sheep? You can't call a motherfucker anymore?
Just depends on who you ask.
I mean, but everybody have steps. Oh my God, they may cut us off of Twitter. They may block us on YouTube. We got to fight this shit. See, look at what Richard Pryor would get banned from Facebook, Twitter, Instagram now.
George Carlin, yeah, Richard Pryor.
Not
I
for
don't
the
even think.
profanity, but for
Yeah,
talking about, they used to, even though he seems been kind of that way himself, talking about those folk that we can't mention.
yeah. He, yeah. Well, no, I even think George. I even think now because stand-up comedy uh has changed. It hasn't changed in terms of the content and so forth, but the times that we live now, people are so PC with things that you can't say. Even Dave Chappelle's special, when you mentioned that, Judge, when he talked about how he was at Comedy Central and there was a big riff with him using the word faggot.
Faggot.
Yeah, well, that's what he was saying. He couldn't use that, but then he was saying, well,
They
but it was
wanted him
okay
to
for you
say
to say
nigga.
nigger, nigger, nigger. Yeah, and with the black, and I think he did a blackface routine with that. And there was all hoopla about it.
Yeah, he did that thing where he was the
And then,
blind Klansman who didn't know he was black.
yeah, well, no, but when he left the show, he had one where he did one where he was on when at the time he had left, where he filmed some episodes, earlier episodes where he was representing when he was put in a situation whether it would have been stereotypical or not. There was a little caricature that would come out, and for a black person, he came out with blackface when they offered him either fish or chicken, and and the little minstrel saying "back in the game, baby," things like that. If he was Japanese, and they asked him to pronounce Lala Anthony's name, well, he wasn't Japanese, but the actor was, and then a caricature of him holding chopsticks would say "hello, rah rah," like Asians can't pronounce L's. Their L sounds like R. So that was one of the sketches that I remember that he did. That yeah, and he wasn't even getting paid by Viacom when it was on Netflix, and he got that show removed. He's a very powerful dude. Yeah, uh, Bishop
They
Scott.
get real wrong in what they do. That was
Yeah,
my problem with why I left the show. It was a bait they wanted me to try to start swinging it with. No, I ain't doing it.
Donald Julian asked, "Is there any way that we can push back on the agenda that they're forcing on us?"
Sure, $38 billion lost in a few days. That's part of the agenda you can push back. Boycott all this shit. I threw out all of the Ritz cracker stuff I had after they had that black boy and that white boy kissing and feeding each other shit that they put on some Ritz crackers. Like, have you seen that one?
Yeah, I
Yeah, it
saw
came
that
out
ad.
during Christmas, right? Yeah.
I saw that ad during Christmas, and I have to agree with the judge. Yeah, the best way you can fight these guys is to simply just not support the content. Because I remember back in the '90s
It's
when
51 billion now too, Judge, between Facebook
51
and
billion.
Twitter.
Good.
Yeah.
Bankrupt the
Um,
motherfuckers. Make it 100 goddamn billion. But by 51 billion, let's make it 100 billion by the end of the
so-
damn next
Sean,
week.
I didn't mean to cut you off. I'm
that's
sorry.
okay.
Let Sean
But I
finish.
remember, I remember back in the '90s when they were starting to push this agenda on shows like Ellen and Drew Carey on ABC when Disney bought them, and I just stopped watching those shows. And the whole thing is, those shows started to tank in the ratings. The network started to lose money, and it goes back to a phrase many in the comic book world use called "get woke, go broke." And if the only way to deal with these type of people who want to push these agendas is to just not buy the products, they can make them like they do in the comic book industry. They made these what they call far left type comics. Some people call them SJW comics. And these companies are now practically on the brink of bankruptcy, and they think they can continue to make them. But if you, the customer, don't want them, you just don't buy them. And when you don't buy them, you send a greater message
Send
to
a
these
better message.
companies that this is not the product I want. This is not the agenda I want. Because in a free market economy, you, the consumer, are the one who have the ultimate choice. Now, they can push this garbage that they want for years, but what you do is keep your money in your pocket. And like many of the comic collectors out here now are doing, they're going out here and buying books from Indiegogos and Kickstarters because they're saying, look, I want a certain type of content. And if you, the corporate bosses, don't want to give me that content, I will go elsewhere because the ultimate choice you have is with your dollar. And you don't have to support any TV show, any movie. I mean, when I heard about that garbage cuties that they put on Netflix, I canceled my subscription and called it a day. They've sent me multiple emails to come back. I'm not coming back to Netflix because Netflix is complete garbage. You want to push this stuff? Then I'm going to keep my $8 in my pocket and I'm going to go support some other products out here that are positive. Like one of the Kid Gravity's beyond saying about Black Sands. I buy their content. I buy Tuskegee Airs. I buy other content creators out here, and so put your money and put it on other content creators that are going to go out here and like my SJS Direct Imprint, put it into that type of content because just like we made these companies like Twitter and Facebook billionaires, we can make independent publishers like myself billionaires by going out here and supporting that content instead.
Most definitely.
Amen, brother.
Yeah,
Amen. Now,
I saw a
that
commercial.
means so be it. But, amen.
And our
Speaking of
woman.
which, you see that shit that they wanted to do? The sergeant at arms got through with the prayer to the
Yeah,
house.
where he said
He
our
said,
woman.
uh, he said, a woman after amen. That's so ridiculous because amen means in Latin, so be
So
it.
be it. I
Somebody
believe
said
it.
he's an investor in black sands.
Yeah.
He had
I
gravity beyond.
Let me say this too. I did see the commercial. I saw that Ritz commercial, but I also saw one by Etsy, I believe. They're kind of like Overstock, and they had one with a gay black couple by the Christmas tree, and they made the Christmas ornament. I remember that one that aired.
You know one I can't stand? The Uber Eats thing where they got that sister, young sister who actually was an Olympian, won
Talking
some
about
medals.
Simone Biles.
Yeah, and she's on with that faggot sitting there, and he's talking about what he's getting, and she says splitsies, and he does to the music that split on the balance beam, and he's doing the girl thing, and he says, "Oh, you meant the food, didn't you?" I say, you know what? I'll be goddamn if I'll ever order anything to be delivered through Uber, and I refuse to use the service. I will use a taxi, even if I got to hike and hitchhike, rather than take Uber ever again in life. I do tape these commercials. They wanted to know if I wanted to do. I said, no, I'm not doing Uber. I'll take a taxi, but I am not doing Uber.
I worked with Uber once. I did Uber, Lyft, and I do Uber and I've done Lyft, especially when stuff has been slow.
Yeah,
But
well,
Lyft,
that was too much. Gillette, I don't buy. They had this lesbian from Europe who had a famous chain of commercials for a French company whose name, get this, literal translation in the Je parle français un peu. In French, the name means sweet pussy. So she did a series of ads for them that won awards. So they hired her to do those ads for Gillette talking about masculine, toxic masculinity. I
yes, and
can't,
they
I
don't
was subscribing to razors because shaving my head, you use up a lot. So I just canceled the subscription and threw everything Gillette in the trash. Harry's, by the way, I discovered makes a better razor.
Oh, most definitely. Yeah, I remember when that happened and Gillette lost a lot of money as a result of that. Uh
They
as a
don't do
result
it
of
anymore.
no, they
They
stopped.
got cute. By the
But
way, I can remember when a magazine was unpopular and the neocon religious right would protest it and they'd strip it from all of the grocery stores, drugstores, and places where they had it in the magazine section. What happened? Nobody appreciates money. Well, Ellen DeGeneres, you meant a degenerate. Every show she's had has been canceled for low ratings, but they keep having her because she's a poster child. They've had her do the Oscars twice, and each time it was the two of them were the lowest rated Oscars in 20 years. They keep giving her commentary, uh, uh, American Express ads, and every damn time that miserable heifer's ass has a show, it fails. Now, particularly, we were both carried by WSNBC4, which was the biggest TV station in America at the time. And her ratings were so low, she wasn't even getting half a rating point that they were about to cancel her. So I came on before her and I was getting 6.8, 7.1, 5.9, and they asked me to make an appearance with her for 2 days to bring her ratings up. So I went on there. She was taping out in LA at the time, and I see my cameraman, and they're all sweating. I'm sweating. I said, man, what the hell's wrong with it? Man, she likes the temperature up around 80 degrees up in here. She's a bitch, Judge. So I'm waiting to see, why don't you have your robe on? I said, you talking to me? You mean this bat key? I said, is this part of your comedy room? I'm serious. Put your damn robe on. I said, you go put your damn mouth in check. I said, put your robe on. I said, put your damn mouth in check. So she thought she came in. I told you to put your robe on. I said, you trying to be funny. It ain't humorous. I'm serious here. I said, well, you go fuck your goddamn lesbian ass. I'm out of here, guys. Let's get the fuck out of here. They can't come. Joe, come, Judge, please come back. Then we got all everybody on the phone. I said, this miserable bitch got on my last goddamn nerve. Judge, she's really abrasive and hard to deal with. Can you please do us a favor? I went back and I said, fuck you, bitch. I'm here because KNBC4 in New York asked me to come back, you slut. You know, and by the way, bitch, you tried to hit on my wife. You and your goddamn hoe ass, wife, husband, whatever the fuck she is, you wanted to do a threesome, bitch. No, that's my wife. They tried to hit on my wife up in Ohio where they like to go travel.
Was this Ann Hesh? Was that?
I said, you done lost your mind. So I sat there.
Is it the
Didn't I
wife
tell
she's
I said,
married
you
to
did
now?
not tell you to go fuck yourself. So actually her ratings beat 1.0, 1.3 the first day, and then 2.9 the second day, and then dropped down to 0.14 after I was off. The only time that bitch broke 1.0. I told her what she could do with a goddamn lousy ass self. That
You know,
woman is disgustingly abrasive.
yeah. Well, Judge, luckily that wasn't recorded and broadcast live because
I
then
didn't care. They could
her
have.
rating.
She's
Well, no,
a
I'm saying you would have
miserable
put her rating.
scoundrel.
She would have had the
She's a
highest
low
rating show
down,
that day.
vicious, and she ought to be rid up with hashtag me too. She was there talking to some women, and my wife had big boobs. She's going, oh, let the girls come out. My wife said, bitch, you touch me, I'm knocking the shit out of you. Do you know who I am? She said, do you know who I am, bitch? My husband is Judge Joe Brown. Fuck you. You know. I said, go ahead, baby. That bitch, you know. But she's always going up and taking a woman's top and going, oh, let me look at the girls. So what the fuck is wrong with here? You know, one woman told her, said, I'm not lesbian. Would you get your hands off of me before I have to cut them off? Are you threatening me? Oh, rough trade. Say, bitch, what's wrong with you?
She sounds as bad as Harvey Weinstein.
Yeah,
Worse.
worse. What?
She
Even with
got a
that.
habit whenever there are women around, she goes up, ooh, let me look at the girls. Oh, they look good. So what's
Right.
wrong with you?
But she almost lost her show this year, Judge, as a result of that, because people were saying,
Yeah, that shit they were accusing her of
right,
is true.
right, Brad,
Eyewitness, been there, seen that heifer.
right,
Nasty
even
ass. And she got body
Brad
odor
Garrett,
too.
yeah.
She got body odor. But you can stand 5 feet away from that woman and have your back turned. You know where she's at because you smell her. Like your dog, you what is that? Damn, God.
Yeah.
Now, on the other hand, I'm going to give this woman some kudos. Tyra Banks. Ooh, Lord, that woman is unphotogenic. She looked 3 times finer in person than she does on camera. God damn, she fine. I
Even
was
the
on her
forehead.
show, and, you know, that woman got class, got a memory. She said, you know, my mother has had a crush on you. I love you, show. I said, yeah, baby, goddamn, don't go up on an old man like that. You give me a heart attack. Come sneaking up on me. So she said, you know, and she had studied what I was about to say. She said, how old is your youngest son? I told her. So what does he do? So she got out there and did an impromptu rap boosting him. I said, oh, hey, I like that. And she got a fantastic memory. She doesn't photograph well. That woman is just extraordinarily gorgeous with her tall self. And I contrast her with that witch Helen DeGenerate. It's just like, damn, this is a real woman. She's fine as she want to be. She's articulate, friendly, makes you feel glad to be around her, treats everybody on the set with care and concern, politeness, and class. And this other witch that they push is a goddamn miserable demon that acts like a mad dog. It got a
I think she wants
constipation
to be a
problem.
man.
What? Yeah. Got a wife. Wife ain't bad looking, but she and
Yeah.
the wife got a habit of going around trying to hit on other women, including my ex-wife.
I think they were getting, they were, I had heard that supposedly they were separating, or I don't know how true that is, but She was about. I know she was about to lose her show when all of that stuff came on, but
If Ugly Wuggly
they
wasn't ugly, how ugly was Ugly Wuggly?
I remember when Ellen was married. I guess you want to say married with that other actress Anne Hesh, and she left. Yeah, Anne Hesh left her.
Say, baby, you know what? Please, can you remove yourself? I've got two large Rhodesian Ridgebacks. They're 125 pounds a piece. Could you remove yourself? I'm going to walk them. I don't want them getting mad about you being in their territory because they like pretty bitches and you ain't one of them. You a bitch, but you ain't pretty, even for a dog. So would you move your ass so you don't offend them? I used to like to take them down to the park downtown Ojai in the I don't call it mall. It's they had it set up like an old Mexican town. And she and her girlfriend would be down there, Queen Latifah too,
Yeah. Oh,
and
Queen
they'd
Latifah
upset
is
my dogs. They wouldn't take a shit when they were around. They got disturbed, you know. Hey,
yeah. Oh, you saw Queen Latifah and her girlfriend?
yeah, they'd come to
Yeah.
Ojai, California.
Yeah. She's
I'd
starring
feel
in.
so good. My ex just got married, remarried for the fourth time, so I don't have to pay support any damn more. Aren't you upset? Oh hell no! I don't have to cut that check. Yes. Ah. God
You know,
damn.
she's doing an Equalizer too, Judge. Shawn's doing a video that's dropping tonight about that. Queen Latifah starring in the Equalizer television show.
Yeah, I is she playing what basically Denzel was playing in that movie he did.
Yeah. So
The
then that
Yeah.
movie was based. Well, the interesting Denzel's movie was based off the show in the '80s, and so they're rebooting it now because of the success, I guess, of the Denzel movies. I don't
And
know
you
if
know
they.
what's bad about it?
What's that?
Denzel, yeah. Queen Latifah, I don't have a problem with her. She just like to eat a little pussy every now and then, keep some of them from being bored. But I don't have any problem to see it's a wrong thing they're doing. All of the criminal cases, the domestic violence matters I've presided over, is like, you actually believe some of these movies you saw and you tried to carry them out and then you got your ass whooped, didn't you? Talking about, I don't care who your ass is, you can't handle dealing with some full grown strong man. That ass getting whipped. Your ass is not Xena Warrior Princess. And see, that's funny. They revived it and they put the scenes that we used to discuss. You know what? I bet they got some of them lesbian scenes between her and that friend girl of hers. You know, uh, yeah. And now they got them kissing and hugging, doing things under the blanket, and it's 30-year-old reruns. So I'm saying, yeah, see, they cut that part, but we could tell. Say, look, woman, your ass ain't Xena Warrior Princess. That's goddamn fiction. It came on after Hercules.
Yeah, I
So
remember that.
don't believe that shit. You will get your ass whooped if you stick it out there and start acting like you going for bad with some man because you believe this dumb shit.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's one of my friends on Twitter. We talked about that. How these shows just really make these women think that they can do something that they can't do because a man is 8 times stronger in his upper body than a woman, and you cannot fight a man. It's just absolutely ridiculous to even think that. I mean, it's just hilarious when I think about it. I was watching that Equalizer trailer this morning, and I was laughing at it because it was like unintentional comedy. I thought I was watching Dolomite when I remember the scene with Dolomite was running on these FBI guys, and they found the drugs and the furs in the car, and they did the karate, and that's what Queen Latifah looked like to me. It was just
That's what you get for fucking with me, you no good don't talk motherfuckers.
Look here.
That's
I
what you get.
know a woman who actually was undefeated woman's karate full contact champion for a long time. She had 36 fights. She won most of them. She happens to be a professor in the California State University system. She and a good friend of mine who died this year, who was probably one of the foremost martial artists in the world, used to be friendly. I knew her. I'd spoken to her class. Uh, Even though she is a master of eskrima, that's Filipino knife fighting and stuff like that. Anytime somebody was, I remember one time she had a car breakdown and some people were harassing her. She didn't try to go handle this shit on her own. She calls up Cliff. Cliff, can you come help me? There's some people around here that I'm scared of. So, people, well, weren't you the world's champion for all of these years? Yes, but these are men. That ain't women. By the way, speaking on that, last year, beginning of last year, before COVID really hit, I was in a parking lot and I helped the daughter of a family friend load her trunk because her left arm was in a real heavy cast. And I asked her about it. She said she had suffered a compound fracture and had 3 operations. She was 19 and she had gotten involved in women's wrestling. So some faggot drag queen got to wrestle against her and gave her a serious compound fracture of the left arm. I said, well, what happened? She said, we didn't want to wrestle that bozo, but they told us we'd forfeit the match. So he hurt one girl, and I was next up in the second round, and he just broke my arm in 3 pieces. I don't even remember it. I woke up in the hospital. She said, and I've had 3 operations. So, see, these fucking goddamn drag queens have no business competing against a woman because I don't care how accomplished the woman is, she can't handle that shit. That's just like watching Queen Latifah as the equalizer or watching uh, Xena Warrior Princess or Wonder Woman. That shit ain't gonna do nothing but get some people hurt.
Wonder Woman sucked. The sequel wasn't all that.
Well, by the way, you know who invented Wonder Woman? The
Yes,
guy that did it is the guy that invented the
and the
polygraph test.
body
He was a
body tape
freak.
test.
Yeah,
Yeah,
he
that's
and
Wonder
his
Woman was
wife.
based off his wife and mistress.
Yeah, he
Literally.
based on his mistress, and he was into dominance and pain and S&M shit.
Yeah.
And in the movie, the books. Oh wait, fuck the books. How about the cartoons that they direct on the Cartoon Network toward young adolescents? The plot of one I was watching was they had Batman, Superman, Aquaman, Beastman, Cyborg, Flash, and all the rest, and the boss was Wonder Woman. Only she had some of her Amazons, one of whom was her lover, who was her pilot of her stealth airplane. And the lesbian lover was jealous of Superman's attentions to Wonder Woman. So the lesbian lover was trying to engineer a fallout between Lois Lane and Superman. Now that's what they're showing 13, 14-year-old kids.
I never watched that. When I was coming up, okay, so this must be because I was coming up. I thought it was Batman that had relations with
The
Wonder Woman.
Justice League. Yeah,
Yeah,
but the deal
and the original
is
Justice
the
League.
plot is Wonder Woman's got the acts like she's got the hots for Superman because he's the god. See, Batman's not a god, but Superman is. So the lesbian lover of Wonder Woman doesn't like it, so she's trying to engineer a little dirty, down low conflict between Lois Lane, Superman's real girlfriend, and Wonder Woman, so she can have a free shot at Wonder Woman's affections. That's Cartoon Network.
Well, there are cartoons I remember back in the day, and stuff that you missed as a kid. But the Animaniacs that used to be on the WB, they used to say adult stuff. Like I saw one video where they're playing like detectives, and the wacko asks his sister to find fingerprints, and she carries and she goes, "Look, I found Prince," and it's actually Prince the musician, and he says, "No, not Prince, fingerprints." And she looks at him and looks at the screen and throws him. It's not too easy. In other words, fingerprints, finger him, and he his character of Prince being who he was, because at that time in the 90s, he was always, everyone thought he was into all of that stuff. He smiles when he says that, and they throw him out. So yeah, they show a lot of hidden stuff in there, even in the Little Mermaid. Like they show the bishop that's marrying Ariel and I'm sorry, Eric and the Queen Ursula. She's in disguise. He has a heart on, supposedly in the cartoon. And I used to watch that as a kid all the time, and I mean, you notice stuff. They always throw a little symbolism out to you that you don't notice. DJ B side, shout out to him. 1965 says, "Yeah, when I was a kid, I always wondered why Catwoman in the cartoons had a whip.
Yeah, dominance.
Yeah, she always wore leather, latex. Yeah, like a dominatrix.
And Wonder Woman has that whip. That's the whip of submission. She's got that thing that she ties people up. That is the coil of truth. And, a
Lasso
whole
truth.
bunch of it is S&M bullshit. Um, this is funny. CNN even made a comment on it. They were trying to put John Dillerman on the Cartoon Network. It's a Danish claymation thing. The
Yeah,
dude is gay, but he got a dick so long he uses it as a pogo stick. They
right.
got one episode where some kids are drowning in a raging river. This fool throws his dick into the water so they can grab his dick and get pulled to safety. He can
Yeah,
pole vault over
that's in the
fences on his
Netherlands.
dick.
Yeah, that's in the Netherlands. They got that in
Yeah,
Denmark.
but you see, they were trying to bring it here. And what the punchline is this dude with the long dick is gay. So what is it that women who are feminists are always saying? We just have Judge Judy's favorite. We're just having another pissing contest here to see who's got the longest thing. Yeah, okay, fine. So they're trying to make this gay guy have the longest thing. He sits up, and when they went to a ranch and the horse got out of control, he lassoed a horse with his dick. It's like, damn, you know, this is getting. Does somebody need to get therapy here?
That is some sexual deviancy being aimed at kids. It's just sick.
Yeah, the
Yes,
show is called the John Dillerman.
John Dillerman.
Yeah, we talked
CNN
about it.
even ran something on it. It's a claymation. He wears yeah, that's that. Yeah, that's it.
John Dillermand, John Dillermand, han er verdens længste dillermand. Der er næsten ikke noget, han ikke kan med det. Han kan smide det rundt, han kan give lidt flow, han kan redde hele verden, hvis han bare fik lov. John Dillermand, John Dillermand, John Dillermand. John Dillermand, John Dillermand, John Dillermand.
You
And
see that shit?
that's actually for children.
That is sick.
This is what this bitch, Nancy Pelosi, this racist asshole, Joe Biden, and Humpin' Harris are trying to put in place over the next 100 days to deal with our children. If anybody needed an explanation of what the problem is and where we were going, this is it.
Judge, I got a question for you. One of the problems that, since we talk about, you mentioned Kamala Harris, a friend of mine who's a fellow attorney, uh, he kind of disagrees with your. I was reading. He kind of disagreed with your assessment with Miss Harris about her ethnicity, uh, as far as being a Jamaican and being black and so forth.
Okay, let me put this. Jamaican Globe or World or something like that had an actual published article her father wrote. They have one online that's cleaned up. My advisor is a Jamaican citizen. But my advisor, who is a born in Jamaican citizen, whose parents are born in Jamaican citizen, is a blonde-haired, blue-eyed white woman
Mhm.
whose grandparents were English aristocracy. So she was reading to me a copy of the original article, and he calls his daughter a liar and a fraud. The online one that they've cleaned up doesn't have that. He says there is a grandmother that a lot of people, his grandmother, a lot of people want to call black, but she's part Hindu, Tamil, Brahmin, not black. And she said there is a possibility that there is some black mixture because of another ancestor. But what it would be is that she would be 1/16th. That would make my parent from her 1/32nd, which would make me 1/64th, which would make my daughter 128th black. If there's black in there, which came in through the Irish side, which in America, the average white man has 20% African ancestry, 15 to 20%. So she's got less black ancestry than your typical white man in America. Now, I'm sorry. I know she's an AKA, but my dearly departed mother got made on the first line of AKAs at Lane College in 1934. She's a ivy behind the wall. Now, that said, they're bragging about we got the first black Greek in as vice president. Bullshit. White boy, bald headed Hubert Humphrey, vice president for Lyndon Baines Johnson and Democratic Party candidate, unsuccessful as president against Tricky Dick
Stephen Humphrey.
Nixon. Hubert Humphrey was an alpha. So God damn it, we got you beat, but just cause he's an alpha don't mean he black. He a white boy. Now, Biden, somebody's saying here about 2A, that motherfucker has
That's your frat
pledged
brother too,
himself to
Judge.
making any semi-automatic weapon illegal like a machine gun. He has said several times, well, the West was won with 6-shooters. I don't see why anybody today needs anything more than that. And that humping Harris heifer is running around talking about a mandatory buyback. What the hell is that? And
Right.
then Negroes, what with today's environment, are running around talking about they want to be disarmed. Good gracious. What kind of goddamn fool are you? You know,
Brian, you can look at
take
his
your
website.
bucks and are you buying bang with your bucks or buying bling with your bucks?
Well, these males are so effeminized, all they want to do is buy bling.
God damn it. You
Right.
know what? If they really give reparations, anybody's invited to me with me to be a co-investor in some place that sells athletic shoes so we can get all the Negro reparation checks when all these damn fools buy 5 pairs of Air Jordans in each style and each color for their men friends, their sons, and their daughters and themselves so they can sport in style.
Judge, let me just stop. Uh this is the website. Brian Ponder is your frat brother too, Judge. He's an alpha. Brian is also an attorney. Brian said, ridiculous, what can we do to preserve our 2A rights? This is the website of Joe Biden's actual website, and this is what he says in regards to his gun safety program. I want you to read this. Reduce stockpiling of weapons. In order to reduce the stockpiling of firearms, Biden supports legislation restricting the number of firearms an individual may purchase per month to one. So essentially, what he is doing, he's going to affect even the Commerce Clause of the United States because people can buy interstate commerce and interstate commerce. People are buying their guns and their ammunition online right now. When the pandemic
Yeah,
started,
but the gun still has to be
through
transferred
a FFL,
to FFL before you
right?
can get it.
But this idiot is talking about banning the sale of ammunition online.
Wait a
Sheila
minute. This
Jackson
is
Lee,
the one that Kamala Harris is pushing. Buyback. Scroll to that. One back. No. Buyback assault weapons.
this one.
Yeah, that one. That's the most dangerous one. I'll be goddamn if I'm selling my shit.
Good luck with that one.
They can come get it.
So if
Well,
they try, Judge Sean, I want you to talk. Go ahead, Sean, but I want to ask the judge this.
all right, go ahead
Registered
and
under
ask
the
them.
National Firearms Act. What they're proposing, see, under this is each magazine is supposed to require a $200 tax. Now, how many people can afford that shit? That's for the rich.
Judge, so if they did come to your door, how do we defend ourselves? Are you authorized if somebody, just for people out there who are pro 2A like myself, what happens
Okay,
if,
you remember Crocodile Dundee?
yes,
Okay, you know why you don't hear from him anymore?
no.
Because they put this shit in place in Australia, and he had a shootout with the Australian police. He killed four of them. They killed him. He wasn't giving his shit up. See, the guy that played Crocodile Dundee was real
Oh,
badass. They've got a bridge in Sydney. It's 900 feet from the top to the bottom. And it's a huge bridge. And when you go in, you see pictures of him walking on a beam a foot and a half wide, 800 feet up in the air with no safety net, no safety wire, painting this damn thing. So you walk around and on your daily job, you're 800 feet up in the air with the wind blowing and there's straight drop down to the water. You one badass. So they killed him when he refused to give his shit up.
no, he's still alive. Paul Hogan?
No, not Hogan. That's not the man's name. Crocodile Dundee. Uh,
Yeah, that's him. Crocodile Dundee was
are
Paul
you
Hogan.
sure he's alive?
Oh,
My
I'm positive.
ex-executive producer, who's Australian from Sydney, he gave me a thing talking about they'd killed him.
I just saw a movie with him. He did. Yeah, Paul Hogan. He's still alive. He's hold on.
Are you sure?
Yeah, I'm about to
Check
pull
it
it up.
out. I mean, if I'm wrong, I'm wrong. I'm glad the guy's alive. He's a real live badass.
Yeah, that's him there.
Where is he right now?
He's like he's still. Yeah, he's still alive according to
He's
this.
still okay. Well, I got bad information. I stand corrected. I'm glad he's still alive. Goes to show you can't trust Hollywood.
Unless he's talking about another Crocodile Dundee that the show is based off of, the character.
I don't know. Is this the
Okay.
one that said that's not a knife? This is a knife, and he threw
Yeah,
that
that's
Bowie
him.
knife into the wall behind the guy.
Yeah, that's him.
Okay, well, good. I'm glad his ass still alive.
Oh wait,
I
now I'm
stand
getting
corrected.
the
Shows you
okay.
can't rely on everybody in Hollywood that gives you information.
Yeah, I think it was the real Crocodile Dundee. The guy who was the real Crocodile Dundee died. Brian just texted me.
Yeah, the very excellent Mr. Dundee. Okay.
Rod Ansell, I think is his name.
Oh, okay, cool. Then that
Yeah,
guy is the one that's not
that's him.
around. But see, like what Carlton Heston, he gave these white folk that thing, they'll pry my guns from my cold dead hands. See, by the way, you know what I find interesting in the police publications? They've got heated discussions about if you're given an order to go disarm a citizen because of these fascist types, are you going to go along with it or are you going to resist? I don't know. I don't know what happens, but it's an interesting point. But
That's him.
all right, see, they've already tried some shit like that with me. I mentioned to you about that time when I had that James Earl Ray thing. I can't guarantee it was associated with it, but it sure as hell looked like
Well,
it.
tell
5
everybody.
people. What's that?
Why don't you tell everybody that? Because Judge Shawn, I don't know if you know this or everyone else, but Judge was the last.
Okay, it's in the middle of me handling that James Earl Ray Martin Luther King, and my conclusion was that Ray is not the gunman. The weapon that was used to kill King is a special weapon in terms of its ballistics, and it was supplied by the FBI. The shot was fired by a two-man team from the fire station, not the flop house or the bushes. All right. First thing to lead up to this, my secretary comes out and said, Judge, you need to take an immediate recess. I said, but she said, you need to take a recess. I said, uh, Mr. Williams, could you have everyone rise? We'll take a short recess. Apparently, there's some kind of emergency. I go back there and they say, Judge, some people are trying to break into your Lexus. I said, oh. So we'll keep you on top of it. So 5 minutes, 10 minutes later, I went and took the next call. They said these folk were trying to plant 2 kilos of coke in your Lexus. We got them spread out on the ground. They claim it was a sting went wrong. But yeah, your name is on your parking space. Okay. Shit like that was going on. So one evening, we had a trial going on, and I frankly got tired, real tired from working on these charges, these jury instructions. So I come home and I fall asleep at my kitchen table drinking a beer. I wake up about 3:15, something like that in the morning, because something outside has caused me to wake up. I can see my front window and a back window from where I am, the way the house was laid out. And there are 3 shadows out back, 2 out front. So they took little Jimmy and pried out the screens. They took a suction cup with a spindle and an arm with a glass cutter on it, ran it around and round and round, cut a circle out of the glass, pulled it out, reached in, unlocked the windows, slid them up, and then they clicked the communications. Now they got bulked up like they had Kevlar. They had on black balaclavas, these ski masks, but with the eyes out, but they were just plain black. And they had sidearms on their hip. And the guy out front clicked 3 times, click, click, click. And then they both started to come in. So I let the first 2 front and back come in. They were helping the second man in. He got first in out of the next 2. And he was helping the third guy in. So when the second one was coming in, I opened up on him when the third man was being helped in the back. I was trying to kill him. I was saying, are the police conducting a raid on me? And these motherfuckers coming up in here and I'm a sitting, oh, fuck no, this ain't got nothing to do with no police shit. So I was trying to kill him. Now I had a 9mm 226 SIG with some hot shit that I'd loaded up. And I had put a 45 that I had in the drawer right on the table when I heard this noise. That was a 45. I shot him first with the 45, but I could hear the bullets thumping into the Kevlar. So I switched to the 9, which seemed to get better penetration. And I started aiming for this area up in here and there. And I know somebody flinched and grabbed his neck, and I got all of them, and I started hitting low. I know the femoral artery goes through right here at the groin and the upper thigh. I was aiming for that shit. And they struggled out, and I shot 2 or 3 times. I hit one of them in his ass going out the back. It messed up the window. So I called my friend, the director of police, who's deceased now. His name was Winfrey. He came over with a detective, and we went front and back, and there were 3 blood trails out back, 2 out front. The 2 out front were kind of heavy, and 2 of the ones out back were heavy. So they checked, and nobody had reported into a hospital or anything like that. And there were about 35 shots fired. They were shooting back at like 3:30 in the morning. So yeah, they'll try and fuck you up. But the bottom line is I was so exciting, I got a hard on. I ain't gonna lie. That was better than sex.
My God.
Yeah, let me
Yeah.
vent all this frustration and aggression, motherfucker. I mean, I went all the way back to South Central
Here
LA. I
come the
mean, I perverted.
judge. Yeah. Yes, indeed. Judge, so Shawn, I want you were about to make a comment. You said good luck with that in regards to the second, I guess, the gun any gun confiscation. I wanted you to get a chance to get your word in.
Well, I just say good luck with that because when people own guns, they're going to fight tooth and nail to keep them. And law enforcement would be in the middle of a lot of shootouts just trying to get these guns from people. And one of the things that I find about this gun control to be ridiculous is they don't really want to mention how we had an uptick in these mass shootings during the time when we had the assault weapons ban. If you look at the time of the assault weapons ban, we had an increase in mass shootings and gun violence. And nobody wants to talk about that part. And they really don't want to talk about that part because they don't want to correlate all the increases in gun violence with the rise of the single mother household. So when I think about all this so called gun violence, I can connect it to single mothers because when I was doing research for the man crisis, I looked at the numbers as related to the increase in crime, the increase in mass shootings, and it all tied not to guns, it tied to the rise of these single parent households, these divorced households where these kids were growing up in a dysfunctional environment, and these kids were growing up learning to feel and not think critically because before we had the rise of the feminist movement and the welfare state. We had courses where kids were taught how to use guns. Kids had BB guns. And when the father was in the home, we had no problem with guns up until the mid 1960s with the rise of the feminist movement, the rise of the welfare state, the rise of the single mother households. And then after that, we started to see an increase in crime and an increase in gun violence. And that increase continues to this day. So this is something that people don't really want to argue. They want to argue, oh, we need to control the guns. But when you breed beta males, what happens is these males learn how to act on their emotions. They learn how to act on impulse. And they go out here and they're the ones going out here firing these weapons because they get upset at somebody and they're feeling and they're acting on their feelings. Or you get these guys who are simmering and boiling in anger, and they go out here and they take out these guns to participate in mass shootings.
You're
Because,
exactly right. 100%. I've been saying that myself. It's the
yep,
lack of masculinity that's causing all of this hell shootout in the hood and hallways. And by the way, the press is talking about somebody inciting someone to violence in DC. They are exciting all of these little unmasculine boys who want to play kamikaze, shooting up some kids in a hallway to shoot up some more heroic targets somewhere else. Like
yep,
this dude that blew himself up in Nashville in
And
front of
Judge
AT&T.
Tech shooting. Right. I just want to say this point too. Even when they talk about assault weapons ban, AR-15s, and how they're using these mass killings, those only account for, if you look at the FBI statistics, in a minute, small margin of homicides in the United States. The Virginia Tech killer was using Walter P2K to kill over 20 people, and that was a handgun.
Okay, how about this one? Somewhere between 15 and 20 times more people are killed by claw hammers, about 30 times more when you consider butcher knives. See, so many times more killed by people who can't drive worth a goddamn, but still get driver's licenses. Now, let me make a correction. An assault rifle is not what we're really talking about. That is propagandistic bullshit because a real assault rifle is first and foremost a machine gun. You put it on full auto, full rock and roll, you pull the trigger and he keeps firing without pulling it again until you let go or you run out of ammo. Somebody's saying he was killed by a KKK police. One thing, let me
That's
say
right,
this.
Judge.
A
That's right.
lot of what you're looking at is not racist. so much. It is racism in it, but it's some punk asses that are police to prove to themselves that they're braver than they fear they aren't.
Right.
There's some cowards who are scared. I grew
I
up in
think
South
Ron was
Central
talking.
LA.
Judge Ron
Somebody,
was.
I'm looking at a text. Somebody said KKK killed him.
Yeah,
Maybe.
that was
But
Ron.
let me
No,
say this. When I
no,
grew up in
Judge.
South Central LA, the person you had to worry about shooting you or killing you was the scaredest person out there. Man, what you saying, man? Well, look, man, I ain't talking about that, man. You just gonna take that shit home with you, man. I got to go to my job, man. I ain't time for that shit, man. What you mean you ain't got time for this shit, man? Why don't you and your homies go on, man? I'm just trying to catch the fucking bus, man. Fuck your goddamn bus, man. You gonna do something, man? I ain't doing shit to you, man. Man, look here, man. You gonna do something, man? Don't move up on me like that. What you gonna do? Just don't move up on me. Bam, bam, bam. It's on this term. Man, why you shoot the dude? Man, you gonna do something. That dude wasn't saying shit, man. Why you shoot him? You scared, man? You done shot somebody. See,
Yeah,
that's what you get. You get cops who are punk ass cowards. They are not prepared to be in these positions, but they're trying to prove something to themselves. Now, some friends of mine and we did a video thing as a DVD as a recruitment for a certain big city police department. They had 300 funded but unfilled police positions. And they were trying to get people who were veterans who were coming out of that sand pile crap. What they were finding is too many of them were in service functions rather than combat functions. And they were sitting there saying, I never got a chance to put a red dot on somebody and squeeze and watch them drop. So they wanted to get a trophy on their den wall so they could belong to the club. So they joined up to do that, but they're still fundamentally cowards who are scared of what the hell's going on.
yeah.
See,
Judge,
that's
I
what's going on. The person you got to worry about doing something damn stupid, like killing somebody for no cause, is the scaredest motherfucker out there. And that's what a lot of these cops are about. Yes, somebody just posted one up here about 91-year-old woman called the police. She showed up at the
that
door
was L.A.
with a shotgun and some fool shot her. That was probably a scary MF who was terrified and about to piss on himself.
Right.
That's what you got to worry about. May have been
I don't know about that
KKK,
case.
but it might have been just some punk ass who was scared. Punk scared.
Well, since she
Or
was
trying
blind
to
and
get an
deaf.
excuse to prove something. What's
Yeah.
that?
Well, I think that was what I was trying to say earlier. The person who was that was Ron from We All Be News, who was talking about the KKK shootout. He was talking about the shootout that you had. So shout out to brother Ron. But L.A. is the one who put up the article about the 91-year-old woman that was shot by
On
deputies.
me, I think it was the Shelby County Prosecutor's Office in league with some people who were fascist, who were still nephews and great nephews of some of the people involved in that mess of a killing.
Yeah.
By the way, it wasn't all this Raul bullshit. It wasn't a mob. It was just a visit made to some reserve military types, either Marine Corps down there in Quantico, where they also have an FBI training facility. Now it says real crocodile Dundee Rod Ansell was killed by police in a shootout down under back in 1999. That's brother Ron Hurd. I see that he posted that.
That's what he was
Maybe that
referring.
answered our question from before. He just said I ain't giving up my shit. Some folk around here, a lot of them gonna do that. Thank you, brother Peter North. Okay, for
Yeah,
enjoying. But good looking on you. Okay, fine. I ain't got no problem with that.
that's his name. Good looking honky.
I got you. Anyway, I see it. I'm looking at it. I'm reading. It's flashing up in
Yeah.
front of me. Thanks you for watching. I tried to deal with some sanity. See, let me tell you about how low down these son of a bitches are. And it's got to do with Dr. Cosby, okay? My show started in 1998. It hadn't been going for a month and a half, and they had a party at the Beverly Hilton, I think it was. All right. So I'm a bachelor, and all these fine movie starlets and soap opera starlets, they all out there half naked on the ballroom, and I'm having a goddamn ball dancing with these fine rascals, right? So I ran into a particularly fine one, and we got to sitting down at a table chatting. And it was going good, actually. It worked out pretty well. But anyway, she excused herself to go to the ladies' room. She came back after I thought I was going to get stood up. It took so long. She said, "You know that tall guy over there in the gray suit?" I said, "Yeah." Said he walked up to me and offered me 2,000 in cash if I'd signed this note saying you were trying to cop fields on me. I said, "Damn." So she and I went around to every woman I could remember I danced with that we could find and got written statements. So a few months later, somebody that I'd hired is a PR person, and I came up with this fictitious woman, and we invented her, and we filed these affidavits with Paramount's Human Resources Department. They were notarized. And we detailed each thing we did and each step we took. So lo and behold, after we had completed the ruse, here we come with a goddamn letter supposedly written by this fictitious person complaining about what we put up in these affidavits. So I'm listening. "What are you got to say about this?" I said, "Fuck yourself. And oh, by the way, motherfucker, I quit." "You got to," I said, "Fuck yourself. And for the way we're going to resolve this, would you have some folk from Human Resources bring over that file, the Judge Brown file, the special one?" So they brought them over, and we opened the sealed envelopes with the affidavits. Say, "Busted, motherfuckers, you punk asses. You tried to set me up." They did it to Bill Cosby. See, but Bill Cosby got into that industry as a young man. I was in my 50s. So I can see this scar right here. I got that from an incident. I wear this mustache to conceal another scar from an incident. My old man taught me to shoot when I was 6 years old, and that's been 68 years ago. Uh, my best friend just died. Grandmaster, Guru, Sensei, Penn Decker, Cliff Stewart started teaching me martial arts 55 years ago, and I taught him how to shoot. He died this year. So it used to be funny to me and him. We'd both go talk to groups of youth and mothers and parents and stuff, and they'd get to talking about this assault rifle stuff. And the thing of it is, I said, one of the people who's been speaking to you can usually kill most human beings without a weapon inside of 10 seconds flat. I can probably do it in 15 because I've been training with him, or he's been training me. So we're in here, we're lethal weapons. And you're going to regulate us, but we're talking to you about character and getting strange traits. So, see, it's not the weapon. We are fucking weapons. It's character. So you're dealing with folk who have no masculinity, and you got to watch out for them because they have other alternatives. I'll kill your motherfucking ass. I mean, right now, it might take me 30 seconds, and I'm in my 70s. When I was in my 50s, I could do it before you could count to 15. Last time I choked a motherfucker's ass out, we talking about all this other stuff about no chokeholds, was up in Aspen in 2013 when some damn big ass 6'4", 240-pound New Zealander was full of it and was trying to snatch women's tops down. So when he got to my goddaughter and my now ex-wife, I took his ass down and choked him out. So I still got it. But you see, I'm not going to walk in and do that to somebody sitting there just because I got a problem.
Right.
Now, terrorizing the Capitol, somebody put that up.
Yeah, they asked. This is computer robots, and I want to talk about a topic he mentioned too. And first, I want y'all to please, you see the ticker at the bottom, donate to the Cash App or the PayPal. The Cash App is at the ticker at the bottom. Don't forget Gavin Richard Esquire or Google
Please do so to keep it going because they're trying
keep
to
it going.
suppress
Yeah,
this stuff.
this is
Now,
informative stuff. You got two authors on
DC,
here and a
let me
judge.
say this.
Yeah.
What the media has suppressed is Trump signed an executive order ordering in extra military and other precautions to buttress the police presence in DC to prevent violence on inauguration day. Now, is that consistent with somebody trying to incite the riot?
And I mean, they're not going to even get the chance to impeach him, too, right, Shawn?
No, they're not going to get a chance to impeach him because if we look at the timeline, the President Trump's term is going to end on January 20th, 2021,
At
and the
12
impeachment
p.m.
process is going to, if they don't do it this week, it's pretty much not going to get done. And if you really think about it, they just don't have the votes to go out here and impeach President Trump because you don't have the 2/3 majority you need to remove him from office. So I was getting ready to, I had already did a video and I was going to put it up talking about how this is all a complete waste of time because we could use those
It is.
resources
Right.
to go out here and take care of all of these people in the pandemic. And it's mostly more showmanship from these leftists to try to show that they're trying to be so about something, but they're not really understanding how they're alienating people by going out here doing these kind of things because Donald Trump is just going to go away. I mean, I don't see the problem as just Donald Trump because I see most Americans have a Trump obsession and they have this obsession with Donald Trump where they just can't see him from a objective perspective. I mean, some of these people on the left, they're practically have gone insane and they keep trying to show Donald Trump up, not understanding that he's just a figurehead and the people behind Donald Trump can replace him at any time with the next guy. And the next guy is the one you need to worry about because he's going to come in and practically you're going to be caught with your pants down like Hillary Clinton was caught with her pants down. She took people for granted. She thought she had it. And the same thing is going to happen to your Kamala Harris or your Joe Biden in 4 years because when I look at Donald Trump, I mean, he's an older man. He's like, what, 74 right now?
7-4.
Yeah. So in 4 years, he's going to be 78. And I doubt he's going to be in any healthy condition to even run in 2024. And once he retires, he's probably much going to walk away from this whole thing practically in the same way that he is right now. I mean, you're talking about removing him from office so he can't run again. He probably won't run again. And he probably, you're not going to take anything from him. I mean, what benefits you're going to take from him? He already has more money than he's going to die and leave this money behind for years. But these people are so obsessed. As I said in in the video I want to put up, I might put it up on BitChute because these YouTube people are crazy. But I said
Right.
that if Donald Trump was to pass away,
Patreon, too.
these people would be at his grave practically wanting to protest him because they're so obsessed with him. And if they buried him at sea, they would be out there in the Atlantic Ocean practically wanting to organize a protest against a dead man. That's how obsessed these people are. I mean, I made a whole video called America's Trump Obsession. And when I look at the behaviors out here, they're just obsessed with this man. What's really funny is they talk about wanting to heal, but they really don't want to heal because if you wanted to heal, you would just let this man go his way and then get back to the so-called business of trying to help the country through COVID-19. But we see when these people with their obsession, they just are just so fixated on this man. They don't want to just beat this man. They want to destroy him. And this is something I know from my personal life experience. When people are obsessed, they don't want to just see the man beaten. They want to see the man ground into the dust and they want to erase him from history because they don't want to remember a guy who actually beat them at their own game. They want to be able to erase him from history and then try to revise the narrative because that's what they want to do because they're just obsessed with this man and it just shows in their actions because you would think again in the aftermath of everything you would be trying to heal the country. That would be your primary focus, not trying to impeach this guy who these trials are just going to take time and resources away from the American people who desperately need help.
Most definitely.
May I make this brief comment? I think what these do-gooders are doing is two things. Propaganda, I think it was 217B at UCLA, I may be wrong. is they're trying to focus their people on a cause, and the cause is get Trump. However, the flip side of that is what they're doing is making a martyr of Trump, who will become a cause celebrity for the other side. They will focus on him as a martyr. They will practically deify him, and it's not going to be pretty. See, America has an explosive amount of interpersonal hostility, aggression, and tension that's built up, and there is no way to relieve it right now unless historically, if you look back in American history for the last 200 or so years, by some bloodletting, some bloodbath, somebody's going to die and a lot of folk will bleed. It's just a question of who's that going to be. Now, that's not inciting anything. Um, you know, and it's good looking Hawk, he says. He's a 1971 model. I'm a lot earlier than that.
Now he says
And
I'm 71. Yeah,
yeah, I'm a 71 child, never seen this. Well, I'm a
71.
1947 child, and I've never seen this either. And it's absolutely ridiculous. This is disgusting. It is the product of a 50-year-old long campaign to dummy down the public that shows through in its effort to discredit science and medicine, because you can't get away with claiming there are 58 genders or 112 if you deal with ordinary, reputable science and medicine. So you got to discredit them. That shows over in
You deal
people's
with God.
opinions and attitudes toward uh, COVID 19 and a lot of other things. You have caused a distrust of authority, a distrust of wisdom, learning, discernment, and experience. And everything's supposed to be about feelings, which do not work in the real world. There are tornadoes, cyclones, hurricanes, tsunamis, all sorts of things that are going to happen. There are some asteroids that are circling uncomfortably close that are going to depend upon the space program being able to deflect them. There are rising seas. There are droughts due to famine and changing weather patterns that are going to make everything intense. And they're trying to destroy masculinity immediately before they're really going to have a serious need for it. So we have a very large problem. And I won't be around, but if
And
I
our
say the
children.
right things, maybe somebody can say he told you so. But, that's history.
Yeah. Well, hopefully you stay around for a long time, Judge. I just want to
I
say,
like breathing and I can still deal with the ladies. So,
I
hey,
say the
that's fun
same.
and games. More,
Yeah.
I still appreciate a beautiful woman. Hey, it is what it is. But they're even trying to destroy that. You can't go to a club anymore and hit on some woman at the club. It might be a drag queen. If you talk to them at work, you just committed some kind of illegal act, sexual harassment. Go to church, you're likely to find the crazy, and you get sloppy seconds behind the preacher, sloppy thirds behind the preacher and the deacons. You can't deal
Right.
with it at school because they freaked out at school. You don't know somebody who's going to try to get you expelled because you made them feel uncomfortable. I mean,
Right.
hell, how do you get anything now? They've got incel and they've got these boys who, well, this is a bad statistic: white, black, brown, red, yellow. They say there are more boys 25 and under who are virgins than girls 25 and under. That's crazy. What's going on? They have corrupted this thing, and then they try to teach this and cram it down these children's throats. I mean, it's their business to do whatever in the hell they want to do in the bedroom. But goddamn, ain't everybody off into that kind of freak? Give me a break. I said, man, like, hey, man, what am I supposed to do, man? My dick don't even get hard thinking about that shit. So what am I supposed to do? Be high and dry and ain't get no nookie? Because you damn fools been trying to run it away from everybody. I likes me some nookie. And I know some older gals that sit up there and I'm look at Judge. Well, Joe, damn. All my life I've been trying to keep myself up, get my hair done, respect, cool, get my makeup together, not too garish, dress appropriately. And these damn fool young fool women trying to run you men off. What the hell's wrong with them?
A woman to the nookie right here.
And somebody, Dana and I were talking earlier today, and the subject came up. I said, let me tell you something, alpha males, everybody, all normal men throughout history have dedicated their lives to acquiring the means to successfully engage in the pursuit, acquisition, and enjoyment of nookie. That's reality. And that's got to do with the somebody says, as long as I'm getting panani, you'll be here, Judge. Damn straight. They say that your life will be extended 12 to 18 years if you get nookie on the average for 2.25 times a week.
When did the left take complete control of the United States of economy, and when did it evolve when it seemed a noble cause to the worst for the country? I guess he's talking about
Propaganda.
it started.
Propaganda.
It started in the late '60s. I would say in the '60s.
Yeah, it did.
Yeah, in the
And they
60s.
plotted it. So for 50 years, that's a considerable portion of the American public that hadn't heard anything else but this propaganda. And I'm sorry, but the voice of the village is media. And if the voice of the village is sick, you can't learn shit. You run around
What?
ignorant MF. Yeah, man, blah, blah, blah. Well, do you know what you sound like, man? Or, I mean, and then the good one, legalized marijuana, man, man, I gotta get fucked up, man, in order to function, man. I can't think right unless I'm high, man. Man, aren't you glad they're legalizing reefer, man? Damn. You know what I mean, man? Think of the potential. You lazy fool. You can't even get up and get your ass to work. You want to get even more stoned so you be worse? What the hell's the matter with you?
Well, if they legalize weed, there'll be plenty of jobs open because none of these guys are going to work.
Yeah, well, that's happening now. Before we go, there is one more topic. I just wanted to say one more topic because computer robots brought this to my attention, and I kind of see this happening with the Biden agenda. The Biden cabinet that's going to come in where we're talking about lockdowns again. He pointed this out to me, Shawn. I know you got to run, but we won't be long on this one. We're about to.
I got
All
to
right.
too because I got 6% battery left. Go ahead.
Yeah, but Ontario government has declared a state of emergency, the second since the beginning of the coronavirus pandemic, and issuing a stay-at-home order. Premier Doug Ford said the state of emergency will be in effect for at least 28 days. The system is on the brink of collapse. It is on the brink of being overwhelmed. We are at levels we've never seen before. That was issued on Thursday at 12:01 a.m. Thursday of last week. Do you all, gentlemen, our question is, do you see that happening in the United States again? And Shawn, I know you ripped into Governor Cuomo about his plans and what he's done with the economy in New York.
Well, if they do another lockdown, then the United States is dead on arrival because the U.S. is a capitalist economy and the U.S. runs on tax revenue. And if you don't have small businesses creating sales for tax revenue, then the economy, excuse me, is going to collapse. So they cannot afford to keep going on this road because the U.S. economy is already in bad shape. And a lot of these state budgets are in terrible condition. And here in New York, we have a $50 billion deficit thanks to Andrew Cuomo's complete incompetence. It was already $6 billion before because he wanted to give health care to immigrants. And now we're at $50 billion due to the pandemic. So there's not a lot of money going around for municipal services like hospitals. And many of these hospitals are going to close because you just don't have the money coming in from private enterprise, from people paying health insurance, and you don't have the money coming in from municipalities paying from tax revenues. So we really cannot keep this road going on for much longer. Eventually, your economic system just can't sustain these lockdowns. And if your Joe Biden does talk about lockdowns again, he's going to really anger more people because the country cannot continue going on this road. It's just financially not possible to continue going on this road. The economic system just can't sustain it much longer. I mean, we have so many people on the brink right now, and it's these lockdowns that created a lot of these tensions that are out here, because when you again have half the country out of work and people aren't able to make a living in a capitalist country, then you're going to have a lot of the things that led to that whole people storming the Capitol building, because they're not able to go out here and make money. They're not able to pay their bills. And the whole flatten the curve theory has been just an abysmal failure. And sadly, many of these nerds, they really don't understand that this theory has already been proven a failure. If we look at California, they've locked down everything, but the COVID cases just keep rising. And I said back in March, this whole theory just is fundamentally flawed, because when you have a lockdown, all you're doing is locking people down, creating artificial declines. And then when you open back up, everything is going to surge once more. So the whole flatten the curve theory, what was proposed, was just just a complete disaster to the world. And we just have to admit that theory is a failure. And if you do it again, there won't be a United States. It'll just be a complete economic collapse.
Oh, we got a troll. He says, which of you capitalists own a street light in front of your house? Do you own a lamplight? 45 lies. Probably can't afford one.
Oh, actually, in front of my house, we've been paying $12 a month for 20 years for street lighting. On the street I'm on, in the connecting street on the one way in, there's not one damn street light. We've been trying to file an action, and we can't find an attorney, even though we're prepared to pay them $1.5 million nominally for their fee.
Judge, I think he's
They're
being
all scared and they think it'll jeopardize their careers. See, punk ass shit, no manhood. 40
Judge, I
years
think this
ago,
guy
30
is
years
being
ago, everybody would have been jumping at this. But it is what it is. By the way, let me say this.
he's being facetious.
Sometimes we have to understand their consequences. I had a minor in vertebrate paleontology, and one of my special interests was the effect of pathogens and species development and extinction events. This was predicted. It's been around that class was in 1967, so that's 53, 54 years. Right now, whatever we do, we're going to have a death toll of between 1 million and 1.5 million by the end of March, middle of April. In comparison, when the country had 103 million population, not 360, 380 million, the death toll in 1919, 1920, 1918, 1919 was 18 million, which is a hell of a lot larger percentage. But we're looking at some very bad things. And one of the problems is that the way you have allocated money so heavily for select and special interest, you are running out of discretionary funds to handle what is required.
Shut the hell up, stop.
Oh, is this 45? Stop the BS.
Yeah, this
Asshole,
asshole.
fuck you.
Get,
Fuck
will
your
y'all
mama
please
too,
where are
because
my
your mama
moderators?
probably had a funky ass pussy and she ain't shit and it came out you girl motherfucker. Now fuck yourself. So you don't like it, look me up and come look me in the face and say it. Punk, and your mama too. You fuck your mama, you
Oh,
Oedipus
God.
complex motherfucker.
And on that
You can
note, good
bleep
night.
that out, but it's live. He hears it. Fuck him. Now,
He says can't take it.
yeah, who can't take it, asshole? Your mama can, god damn it.
I,
You know, your mama had some real dick because it sound like your daddy didn't have none. What you do, get artificially inseminated, punk? So you a test tube baby, bitch?
might be Magic Johnson's son.
Hmm.
Unfortunately, I know the boy and I know Magic Johnson pretty well. He's actually not bad people. You know, he'll tell you he didn't go to college to play basketball. He went to college so he could learn to be a businessman, and his ability on a court was supposed to come up with the capital he needed to run a business. So, yeah, I'm a fucking capitalist, but I also think some of the free enterprise bullshit is not dealing with the fact of there being a problem with industrial technology and computerization obsoleting too many ordinary people that every other industrialized country in the world but ours is addressed. That's why we have the schoolhouse to jailhouse pipeline. It's not about controlling crime, it's about disposing of surplus labor in a warehouse known as a jail, not a grain silo. The subsidies, the welfare checks, Section 8 shit, and wanting to know when we're going to get a handout instead of maximizing opportunities, and also cutting back production of labor units by dealing with stupid bullshit and having wrong attitudes, wrong outlooks, wrong worldviews, no academic preparation, no vocational preparation, get stuck on stupid, get knocked up too early too often, and in the process of the chaos that ensues, causing the communities that are thusly impacted to be incapable of political self help and impotent when it comes down to self direction. It's crazy. But assholes like you pushing your namby pamby poo bullshit 45, you full of shit. That's what causes it. So fuck you again. No, you'd probably like that.
Hmm.
Go find yourself a large dildo and get your mama to strap on and do your ass. Don't get uncomfortable. He brought this on himself. Oh, I'm going to cry. They made this devil Judge Joe Brown made me feel uncomfy.
Well, he says triggered. You know what? The reason why I mentioned it, I know you got to go, Shawn and Judge, but I've mentioned the Magic Johnson comment because when I was online with Ron, we had a troll that came in there and was coming at us. So I usually use that as a reference. But I know you know Magic. I know that's your friend and
Now, I
stuff.
know what you're referring to.
Yeah,
Uh, Good move, but asshole out there, he's a punk. He wouldn't stand up and tell you to your face. He go
yeah.
piss
Well,
himself.
I'm wondering if that might be the same person. That's why I just made that. But yeah,
Probably. You get these trolls, they get off trying to do this. Somebody catch them out in the
Aaron
street, slap
first.
them around, and they go run crying.
But yeah,
Yeah, these
but
keyboard warriors are tough.
go ahead, Shawn.
I said these keyboard warriors are tough behind the keyboard, but in the real
Not,
world, they're just
not real
complete
men.
cowards.
What does Judge? I gotta ask you this before you go though, because your views and stuff. Since you mentioned Magic John, since we talked about Magic Johnson, I know the stuff about his son, and not even him, but others in Hollywood. Has that ostracized you from work and stuff? Your positions against
No,
LGBT?
basically, what happens is, let me say this. These celebrities have a problem, and it's that the public relations people for the teams, the businesses they work with, the industry they work for, approach them about conscientious public service announcements, and they get told what they're going to say. They may not believe it, may not like it. There are all sorts of problems that have developed when you bring a child into an environment where economically he can have everything he wants. And if there aren't certain other constraints, there are problems. The people involved don't like them, but they are constrained from speaking out. I'm not. I don't give a damn. Like I said, break in on me the next five. I'm taking some son of a bitch to Valhalla with my ass. I may have sent some to Valhalla that day. I don't know. Don't care. But life is not safe. ancestors dealt with lions, tigers, grizzly bears, wolves, hyenas,
My,
alligators, crocodiles, pythons, black mambas, rattlesnakes, all kinds of shit will kill you. So adversity is adversity.
most definitely.
I ain't got that much longer anyway. I don't give a damn.
Yeah, we can tell. Judge, one more thing, just quickly. That Soho Karen, Shawn, what's your opinion on it? The woman that
The
attacked
what?
the woman that attacked the boy over the phone in the hotel.
I think she's sick. She's mentally ill. Let's see what happens.
Okay.
See, one thing right now, we keep speculating on what do you think's going to happen? What do you think's going? It's like, let's see what happens. What is it that Obi-Wan tells Luke? Padawan, patience is a great virtue.
Yeah,
Let's see
most
what
definitely.
happens.
All right. Well, the judge has spoken, and he has laid the gavel out on my channel, on my platform. Gavin Reshaw presents only on channel G Bluetooth 786. I also want to thank our friend, fellow author Shawn James, who's always a guest here. Shawn, thank you for sticking with us, and tell everybody if you want to plug in your book again. Go ahead.
All right. Well, I have the books of the SJS Direct 2021 catalog coming out. They are John Haynes Taking Care of Business, which is up for pre-order right now. I'm going to put the link to that one in the chat in a minute. No, I'm going to put that one up on the chat. I just need a minute to go find it on Amazon.
I
That,
have Eternal Night
yeah, I
here.
have Eternal Night. I also have an ISIS series book out, ISIS the Main Event, and I also have E-Steam Blast from the Past. But those are the 2020 books. You can get them on Amazon.com right now, and you can pre-order John Haynes Taking Care of Business on Amazon.com right now. For the Kindle version, paperback version will be out in March, and I have a whole lot of great positive Black fiction on Amazon.com right now, and some men's issues books as well. So I have a lot of different content online, and you can check out all of my books in my SJS Direct catalog on Amazon.com by picking up the link in the chat or the comment section. And I have a lot of great titles. You can pick them up. I mean, there's fantasy, there's fiction, there's women's fiction, there's nonfiction. So there's a lot of great content there. And I'm hoping everybody checks it out, like heading over to Amazon and picking up some of those books.
Most definitely. And the judge is on
I'm
Twitter.
on Judge Joe Brown. I'm at Judge Joe Brown TV on Twitter. They will not give me the blue check. I am on Parler
Wonder
when it
why.
returns as Judge Joe Brown. And by the way, they gave me my red P within half hour of me joining up. They didn't have any problem with verification that I provided. But anyway, um, keep on, be peaceful, be powerful. When necessary, be brave and courageous. It's not about a race thing really right now. That's camouflage and smokescreen for something else that impacts all manhood, womanhood, all children, and we ought to see a unity of purpose. I'm down to 2%, so I may get cut off. But keep strong, power to the people, keep moving, be focused, think, don't fall for the okie doke, deal with reality, read something. All right. Now I'm out of here. I got to go before I shut down. So,
Reading is
guys, it's been a
fundamental.
pleasure. Lawyers, great.
All right. Thank you.
And
Thank
yeah,
you, Joe.
all right. I'm out of here. This has been Joe coming to you on your show, brother. I'm trying to do what I got to do. I got to come through. If you look at me, you will see I do not touch the planet because I float. There is space between the soles of my shoes and the planet. I float, I fly, I've come as prophesied. Touch me and verify that your senses deceive you not. This is Joe. I have been with you on the show. Put your favorite body parts up in the air so it gets the waves coming through. It'll make you feel good and get you to do what you got to do. This is Joe on out from your show.
All right.
Peace
And
out.
I say no more.
There you go.
Thank you, Judge. Thank you,
I'm
Shawn.
out. I'm
And
about
thank
down. I
you
got
all,
1% now.
especially to my other YouTube followers. I appreciate you. We got over 600 subscribers. Thank y'all. Shawn, you gonna come back again?
Yeah, I'll definitely be back.
All right, man. I appreciate it. This is a killer show, man. Great show. Thank you.
All right, thank you for having me.
All right. Good night, guys. Whoever you are, wherever you are, be blessed and be safe. Please donate to that Cash App and to that Google Pay. We're gonna try and have on some more guests even this weekend. We'll see if we can try and get our sister. I'm gonna see if who I can get next, but I actually was trying to get Judge Tom back, Tom Mesro to come back. So I got to reach out to him. Yeah, and a couple other people, even Taisha Essex. I think we love to have that sister come back on. All right, guys, I'm out. Great show, killer show. Peace out. One love. Like and sub, guys. Like and sub. Donate.